Today's episode is brought to you by EliteFTS.com. Founded in 1998 with the primary aim to live, learn, and pass on. Please help Elite FTS support this mission by smashing the like button, leaving a comment, sharing with a friend, and thinking of us for your training needs. If you can put it in a gym bag or load weights on it, Elite FTS has it.
What's going on? I'm Dave Tate. We are broadcasting from the middle of the Elite FTS weight room, where the underground still thrives and you're part of the crew. It's time to sit down, keep it real, and cut the bullshit. Welcome to Table Talk. I want to let you guys know that we just had a limited edition drop on the website last week of new items that sweatshirt, flannel, t-shirts, shorts. Basically, the limited edition items are the items that directly support the Table Talk podcast. So if you go to EliteFTS.com/limited edition, or actually just the link in the description, you can find the limited edition items that we have now, which there's the one that I like the best is the shit suck good great, which is all emojis. The designs I always like the best, right? They're the ones that don't sell for shit, but they're the ones that I want to wear that I like the best. And there's the cigar one as well. And they're all there on the screen for you guys to be able to see. So if you go to EliteFTS.com/limited edition, the other thing that directly helps support the podcast that I haven't talked that much about is the Table Talk crew. The Table Talk crew is extra edition episodes that go out once a month. The content of those episodes are AMA related, question related, that come from the Table Talk Discord group, which is also part of being in the crew. When you're in the crew, there's dozens of ebooks that are in there. There's every seminar that we've ever done is put on there. There's courses that are put on there. There's series that have put on there. The original YouTube channel that we had for many years, before we migrated to the newer one, all that old content is on there. There's discussion groups for just general training, fitness, life, nutrition, basically everything that you can think of is on. So just go look at what that is, or better than that, just go to the description, click on join the crew. That helps directly support the podcast, which is how we're able to keep this thing rolling. Edition of Table Talk. Before I get started, because I actually got to sit here and watch the commercials or advertisements or adverts or whatever we want to call them before we started, and we had one for the crew. A couple updates with the crew is I saw on the copy page that there's 20 ebooks in there. I think there's 28 now. We just added a couple new ones. The programs are still in there. We've added some sections under it used to just be my training log that was in there, but now I got a training log, I got a blog, I have behind the scenes crap that's going on here at Elite FTS, and then Tom Shepard and Seth Albertson have been doing a lot of the AMAs and the Q&As on there, covering everything from training to injuries and all the other stuff. So it's a resource that's worth way more than what the investment is that's on there. So I highly suggest you guys look into it. If you go to my Instagram story right now, you'll see more of a breakdown of the things that are in there. And join the crew, I suppose. The link is in the bio, the link is in the description. Also, and I haven't done this before because I always forget, and you're supposed to do it with every video and every podcast you do. I'd appreciate if you liked, commented, and subscribed to the thing, and especially with the podcast, leave a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever else you can leave the reviews, because it actually does help. My guest today is Chris Janek. I've known Chris for going back to 2009, I believe is what I have in here. Got a lot to talk about. There's a lot to his story. So when I I heard of Chris before the XPC in 2009, because you had like a training log on Critical Bench, I believe, because of the arena ball. And Chris played Division I football for Wisconsin.
Wisconsin Badgers.
Right.
Ohio
Wisconsin
State
Badgers.
nemesis.
I know. I didn't want to. That's why I didn't want. It's hard to say. And with 2 Rose Bowls that are in there, and linemen, correct?
Dude, nose guard. Yeah.
Nose guard. So
position.
Yeah, for those that aren't familiar with the Big Ten, I don't know if this is still true now, but it used to be that when it came to linemen, they were the biggest, strongest motherfuckers in the Big Ten.
Our O-line averaged like probably 320, 330, similar to now. And then like our nose guards, our interior, we're both 300 plus. And my position, specific nose guard, my job, what I did for 4 years, I just ate up the center and ate up the guard. And then the linebacker got the tackle. I sat there fucking crying the whole time. Terrible.
Yes. So after that, you went into arena ball for 8 years.
Yeah, I was a little undersized height-wise, about 6'1", and a half on a great day. And I had a tryout with the Cleveland Browns, went out, and their starter was Russell Maryland at the time. And that dude was like 6'6", 6'7", 320 or more. I just didn't fit that mold. So I thought I was done playing. Went back to school, bounced a little bit, and then got an offer to play arena football. And it was in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Milwaukee Mustangs. Their colors were purple, which is a little bit different.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I played there. I signed a 4-year deal. Played in Milwaukee 1 year, and then I got traded to Jersey. And then from Jersey, I got traded to Indianapolis. And then I got traded from there to Denver. And then after that, I was a free agent. And then I came here, like I was telling you, I played in Columbus 2 years under Spielman as we spoke. And then after those 2 years, I played in Salt Lake City for 2 years. And then after that, 2008, 2009, the recession hit. And all these owners, it was just kind of like a fun thing for them. They didn't want to lose more money, so they just dismantled. And I was like, the fuck do I do now? So that was my football career. I played 18 years straight.
Okay. So then from there, you went into opening your gym and powerlifting kind of around the same time.
Yeah, so I found out on the bottom line, ESPN, they said arena football is shutting down, basically. I'm like, what the fuck? It was a couple weeks before Christmas. I'm like, well, thanks for telling us. I didn't know what I was going to do, but luckily I got a signing bonus. And I saved that. I didn't know. A couple friends were cops, a couple were firemen. I'm like, what do I do? So I obviously, studied kinesiology at Wisconsin. I lifted heavy all the time. Opened a gym made sense. So I opened up a gym in 2009.
And then what attracted you to powerlifting?
Well, I lifted heavy. My dad used to drop me off at the old YMCA when I was like 13. Had no idea what I was doing. Put as much weight as I can, try to lift it. And since then, I just was always enticed and interested in seeing how much I could lift, how heavy I could lift. So strength has always been a hobby of mine since I was younger. And in high school, college, I always, college I came in as a freshman in Wisconsin had some strong dudes. And I came in right at the gate and I was one of the strongest. So I carried that strength over to arena and I dabbled, like I said, critical bench. Mike Westerdahl, I think is his name. He offered to pay for me to do a powerlifting meet. And I did that. I think my first one was like 2009, 2010, and it was in gear. I didn't know what the fuck gear was.
Yeah.
I'm like, what is gear? So people are putting on these shirts. I'm learning how to deadlift the day of the meet. Randy Presswood and Pud Houston are trying to show me. We did hang cleans, every day. Never did deadlifts because they're bad for your back. Whatever. Yeah, so, my first meet, I'm wearing a medal. I think it was a deadlift suit to squat in. And the deadlift, no briefs. And I think it was like 2450 or something. And I remember it was Joey Smith. I think the other gentleman was Charles Bailey, is that right?
Yeah.
They were laughing. They're like, what briefs were? I'm like, what the fuck? What are you talking about briefs?
Yeah.
So I started learning the stuff, the gear, as best I could. And I just kept powerlifting year after year. And then I had some good totals as I went with it. So.
Yeah, you worked your way up to winning the XPC with a 27-25.
Yep.
Not after being in the sport that long, it's funny because one of the things that I always talked about, or as a group we'd always kind of joke about, was that a lot of powerlifters have egos. There's no mystery there, but the joke was kind of always like, y'all understand that we're all like genetic misfits here, that somebody's gonna come from like the NFL or Division I, then and just fucking destroy everybody because they're going to come in with better genetics, better ability, better coachability, ability to learn. And then Gary Frank was kind of one of those examples, right? And then you come out and it's like, well, there's another one, you know, like what, 2 fucking years and he's 27, 25. And it's the skill, and it's not just the genetic thing. There's the skill acclimation throughout being a kid, you know, junior high, high school, which we'll talk about all that. That plays into building that base that when it comes to powerlifting, you're already so much higher than the average person that didn't do shit, that just decides I'm going to lift weights and then ends up being a really good power lifter. Their base usually isn't there. You know, just like video games or, you know, whatever, being not the greatest athlete, you know, when you merge, and I think we're seeing that now just with the growth of powerlifting as a whole.
I've played with so many football players that you see them in the weight room and they're not real strong, but you grab a hold of them. And I feel like if some of those guys would just continue the lifting, there'd be more freaks out there. But it's weird, like a lot of football players I played with, they weren't into lifting heavy. They were like doing the frou-frou bullshit. And like they wanted to keep their bodies healthy, but like Hoff said, fucking training heavy is fucking tough.
Oh yeah, it is.
It's hard. It's hard work, and it takes a lot of years to get there. So.
Well, as you said before we got on the podcast, while you were in Columbus, you know, there was the allure to go train at Westside, or at least stop in and visit there. But at the same time, you knew your role. It's like, look, I can't get hurt.
Yeah.
You know, if I get hurt, I don't get paid.
Yeah.
You know, so that's a balance that as an athlete you have to be able to make. Yeah. Now, when that's taken away and you take the ability that's been developed and then you put that other ability to work, it's not really hard work. It's because it's different work. Yeah. Right? Because it's that straining, heavy-ass stuff, which, you know, for a football player, the old saying is, you know, weight training for a football player is GPP, you know, as in that's dragging the sled for a power lifter. It's the shit that they know they should do. It's probably going to help, but they really don't give a fuck about. What they care about is actual practice and playing, where the power lifter really doesn't want to fucking do conditioning work or the sled. They just want to do the other shit.
I regret you're talking about in Columbus, I really regret not going to West Side Barbell. Randy set that up, and you might have been, this would have been in like 2005. I don't know if you're still there, but I weaned away. I knew myself that, and I still lifted pretty heavy in season. I had a thing in my head. Every week I'd box squat 600, no matter what. And I felt fucking great every time from doing that. And I knew if I would have gone to West Side, I would have probably tried to push the envelope, and then that's my job, get hurt. I kind of wussed out, to be honest, but I probably should have gone there, just check it out. Worst case, learn some knowledge, you know.
Now, 4 months after your peak of the strength and powerlifting, or after winning the XPC, which was at the Arnold, that was best lifter too. So it wasn't just heavyweight; it was best lifter overall. 3 to 4 months after that, you get diagnosed with aortic valve regurgitation.
I was sitting in my living room, my wife and kids, and I just started feeling like real dizzy, like weird. So I got up, and next thing I know, my wife's screaming, my kids are screaming, I'm leaning against the fridge. I passed out. I've never fainted in my life. I've lifted heavy, I've played football, I wrestled. I thought that was really odd. So I was like, I probably should get checked out. I think I was out for like 20 seconds, which is kind of scary. So luckily I woke up, I got checked out, and I had a hereditary issue called aortic valve regurgitation. And you know, they said, unfortunately, they have to cut you open. And I said, well, it's fine. Can you seal me back up? I want to bench 800 soon. So they cut me open, and a bunch of shit happened from there, 1 to 2 to 3, and then a transplant. So we go into detail and all that, but it was an interesting few years. So
it was more than a few.
It was 2015, and then I just got my transplant in 2021. So I had one open heart, and then I had emergency surgery about 4 months later, and then another emergency one about a year after that. And then after that, I waited for, I think, like 4 years for my actual transplant. I sat in the hospital on bed rest for like, I think it was 8-9 weeks. Just sitting there waiting. I waited for 5 weeks, but then I was in the hospital a total of 11 weeks. It was terrible. Atrophy. I mean, I lost about 80, 90 pounds. It was awful.
Well, you totaling the 27-25 caught my attention, right? Because it's a big fucking total.
Yeah.
And looking back over the past 6 years, granted, I don't see everything, right? But what you're putting out is, what's more impressive to me was the positive attitude that you've been able to maintain at least 51% of the time throughout the 6 years. Now, what we see is 100% of the time, which is probably bullshit, but it's more, if it was less than that 51%, you wouldn't be the person that you are, but that's, fuck, you came out here and you had like a pacemaker on and it was like a leash, right? Like you were only allowed to be so far away.
Yeah, dude, it was crazy.
Because that was when you were still like a waiting list, right?
So that was, I think, in like 19 at that seminar, and they said it was a quarter size. It was like a hockey puck. It's right here. It's not there no more. But yeah, you got to be by a cellular or something like that. So if it beeps, you get to go to the hospital and get fixed. It was interesting. And when I came out here, I was about 240 probably. Yeah. I couldn't freaking breathe at all. I could breathe sitting here, but if I got up and walked from here to there, stop and breathe, I couldn't breathe. It was terrible. But that was all just my, like we talked about, my ejection fraction was so low. It was probably like, at that time, 10% or less. And then when I went in the hospital for my transplant, it was like, I think a 4, they said. It was not good. Yeah. Borderline, like 6 feet under type stuff.
So for 5 years, you're in that state.
Yeah. And owning a gym, not being able to lift or really exercise was freaking torture. It was terrible. And that was in my blood. Like, I couldn't do much. It was terrible.
Well, not being able to live, just the fatigue.
Oh, yeah. Walking up my stairs, I had 6 steps up, a little pad. I'd take a break, 7 steps up, take a break, and go to my bedroom for 5 years. Yeah.
And there's nothing that you can do to increase the conditioning of that because it is the...
No, I couldn't do nothing. There was there was no script for like cardiothoracic rehab. My heart was in failure. It was screwed up. There was nothing I could do. I just was holding on, and every meeting, I shake hands. How's it going? Am I close? No. Okay, see you in 3 more months. It was terrible. It was, thank God for my wife and my family. That helped me a lot, get me through those times. So, pretty interesting.
No, I'm
trying to...
I'm putting it through my own head because... I don't want to say same circumstance, but kind of like the same thing in a very, very condensed, shorter time period. And for me, like 8, 12 weeks was like that. I'd rather not even be alive than have to deal with this.
Yeah. I tell you, like, mentally tough from wrestling and football really helped me out because a lot of people, I feel like a lot of people in that situation that I was in and the place I was at might have checked out. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I'm very thankful I had the support, and I feel like, no joke, the mental toughness from wrestling and football and all that toughness I built mentally helped me out a shit ton.
Was there a point, because let's say you had that 4 or 6 months, because there's hope, right? Like, this is going to happen, it's going to come through. Obviously, you think it's going to be like in a year. You're not thinking it's going to be fucking 6. Ugh. So that's fucking with your head, right? Where obviously that's going to be some mental decline. Was there a point where it was, fuck it, maybe this is just how I'm going to have to live for the next 5 years?
I told my doctor many times I can't live like this. Yeah. I will, but I can't. And he's just like, hang in there. So I went through the days. I knew I had my wife to come home to, my kids. I had stuff to look forward to. But the way I felt, I can't explain it. It was awful. And people have gone through worse stuff than me. Yeah. For me personally, that was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. Very tough. But now that I got my transplant, I feel like I've got a new life, and I feel like I'm on the right track, kind of moving up and up.
Yeah, well, that's a whole interesting story there, too, right? Because when they finally called, right, and this was where you said you were in the hospital for like 3 months.
When they called, I was in the hospital I was on hold. They put I think it was LVAD maybe, in my neck. And I woke up the next day, and I was in a pile of blood. I'll show you the picture, puddle of blood. I don't know if I sent you that. It was all over. They had to do emergency surgery there and put it in my groin because I was losing so much blood. And that's when I got put on bed rest. And I didn't get out of the bed until, a couple weeks after I woke up. And I think I was in that coma for probably 10 days or so.
So why did you go? Did you go in because they had the heart for you?
No. So they had my doctor, which was awesome. He's the head of the Barnes. He said, "Hey, pack your bags. You know, we've been keeping up on your ejection fraction and how you're feeling. You're probably going to stay." So I got there and they checked. They said, "Yeah, you're not going home." So we actually, it's funny, we had a family dinner the night before at a really nice steakhouse, and we kind of knew, but I packed. I was mentally ready. And when it was probably like 5 weeks, they said, doctor came in, he goes, "You know who I am?" I'm like, "No." And they found my heart. I was like, I cried like a baby. I mean, I cried for probably, I was calling everyone, bawling. It was embarrassing. Yeah.
And that was when you just went in?
I was in, and then I was in for 5 weeks before I got the heart. They were looking for a heart. There was like lists you got to get on and levels you got to be at. And
so what caused you to have to go in?
Just a checkup, regular checkup. Yeah, they said, "Hey, you got a checkup, but we're thinking that it's about that time that your levels are going to be this low," because they just kept declining.
Okay, I get it.
Yeah, so they said pack a bag, and I did, and then sat there. I waited. I had that thing in my neck. Next day, boom, and then 5 weeks later, they found a heart. I know a little bit. I still haven't wrote the family letter. I'm still trying to get that figured out. But the gentleman was from Georgia. He was as big or bigger as me, and healthy, and it was an accidental death. So I don't know what that means, but I got really close with some of the nurses, and they told me as much as they could. They couldn't even touch more than that, but it's pretty awesome experience after that. So.
Yeah, you lost.
Oh man, did you see that picture I sent you?
Yeah, and I saw the pictures when you're in there. Not the videos you were sending.
I was laying down and they're weighing me somehow.
Yeah.
And they said, "You're at 197." I said, "Shut the fuck up. There's no way." I weighed that in what, 7th, 8th grade.
Yeah.
And I made one of our ladies, I said, "Pick me up," and I was like, "Holy shit!" And then I could tell my face. I was slowly getting, smaller. But down to 197, sick. I literally couldn't walk. It was terrible. I couldn't lift my feet up. My PT that got me walking, Shrina, she's a PT. She's a power lifter, actually. Little bitty girl, but strong as hell. She's like, "Get your ass up, we're gonna walk." And I started moving. They connected me to the thing, and then I started doing the chair, and I progressed. Drove my nurses fucking nuts, because I'm getting out of here. So I'd walk every day when I could. I was doing box squats on the chair.
Yeah.
Once I was able to, but it was I'm telling you, I could not walk. I couldn't lift my legs for it was probably a week or so, maybe 2 weeks after I got transplanted. It's a very humbling experience, man.
The box squat thing makes me laugh a little bit because
I got in trouble.
Well, it's one of the things I jokingly say for years, but I guess it's kind of true, is if the first thing that they ever show you if you're in a hospital and you have something major done is you have to move, right? So they're going to put you at the end of the bed, basically tell you to put your feet on the floor, pull your chest up a little bit. And basically, they're telling you to box squat, right?
Yeah.
So that's been on my joke was, I'm always going to box squat because I do know on my final days, that's going to be what's going to be able to get me out of bed. But hopefully, like right before I die, I can scoot to the edge of the bed, put my feet on there, and box squat up, and then just die standing.
Yeah.
So I die on my feet instead of on my back.
Yep.
And it's just jokingly, but it's funny because each time I've been in the hospital for hip replacement, whatever it's going to be, you find yourself in that position and you're like, "Oh, okay. I'm like sitting."
I had the technique down.
Yeah, like my feet are flat. I'm rooted.
I couldn't. So I wasn't allowed to use my arms at all. So I had to somehow do that shitty lean that I don't want to teach.
Yeah.
But I couldn't even. I had to have help up. But I eventually got it. But you're not allowed to use your arms at all
because of the ribs.
Because of the crack.
Yeah.
You can't do it, and it was very. Not being able to stand up or walk was different, to say the least. So.
How long were you in the hospital after the transplant?
I got my new birthday. I'm turning 2, August 22nd. I got transplanted on the 22nd. I got out like September the 12th, I think. I was trucking, man. Once I was able to walk, I'm telling you, I would bug the nurses. I would walk as much as they'd allow me to. I even got into trouble. I had this little thing that drip the liquid out, and I would carry it, and I wasn't supposed to do that. I'd have to have a nurse. I was like, hurry up then, let's go. I want to get out of here quick, let's go.
Yeah.
And this was during all that bullshit COVID too, so I had one visitor a day, and that was it. And no kids, I couldn't see my kids, only FaceTime, which is pretty thankful for, but it's still pretty rough not holding your kids for 11 weeks. It was terrible. So that COVID shit, it kind of made it very challenging.
Yeah.
You know.
Are you still on the anti-rejection meds, and are you going to need to be on those for the rest of your life?
Yep. So when I got out of the hospital, I was on over 40 pills a day, and I'm down now to like 18 a day. And I'll be on, I might not pronounce it right, tacrolimus, mysulphenolate, and I'm on prednisone still, and prednisone's a bitch. I'm emotional all the time.
Yeah.
I fucking hate it. And I was on like 60 grams a day, which you're talking about insomnia, can't sleep, fucking terrible. But I'll be on 2 or 3 anti-rejections, and I'm like, the doctor said you're going to have to take a few pills a day. I'm like, I don't care.
Yeah.
Get me out of the hospital, I'll take 3 pills any day, no problem. But just 3 pills eventually as we get further and further out. But right now, I think, like I said, it's like 18 a day.
So you still on? Would you be on rhythm meds and blood pressure meds and all those meds too?
My blood pressure's always been good. I'm like always 120 or 8. I'm always good blood pressure. I'm on like a vitamin D because I'm not supposed to be in the sun.
Yeah.
The rejection meds, you could get skin cancer quicker, easier. So I'm on that. I'm on like a baby aspirin, the anti-rejection meds, prednisone. Trying to think. There's a couple other ones for like bacteria, Rustovian or something. There's a few others. I just put them in the jar every week and slam them. You know. But yeah, 18's way better. 41 was, and I'd still just shot them all at once.
Yeah.
Get them down. You know.
Well, the question I have is not going to really have much context because the 6 years getting to that point. So the question would be, do you think the anti-rejection meds are making it harder for you to recover from your training? But what do you got to compare it to when you had 6 years of not doing shit beforehand?
Yeah, I don't know. So I'm doing literally my workouts are the bare minimum. I used to do probably 5 or 6 movements, compound and some accessories. Now I'm doing basically 2, and I'm doing, again, it's all relative, but I'm making very good progress over that. And eventually I'm going to probably stall out. But recovery, I still do like ice, contrast in the shower. I do a lot of stretching. I do a shit ton of mobility. I haven't had a massage in like probably 6 or 7 years. I always drive by a massage, looks, I want to get it, but recovery, I'm recovering fine, really. I'm not that sore.
But your strength, at least what you've been sending me and Nate over the past 6 or 9 months, has started to take off.
Yep, I just benched, and I'll retest that, but I did 4 plates on the bench. I did the 150s for 7 the other day. I squatted 500 on a rackable homemade cambered bar. Deadlift over 500. My goal by my second birthday in August is to do like a 6'6" and like a mid-4.
Yeah.
That's my goal. And again, it's all relative, but from where I started, I'm telling you, I started just raising my arm like this, and I could hardly raise my arm.
Well, you told me a while back, and it may just be talking shit, or maybe that you wanted to be the strongest transplant patient ever.
Yeah,
so who would be your competition?
I know, old boy, I've seen C.T. Fletcher.
Yeah.
He's one. I think there's another guy somewhere I saw, but I don't know of many. I say that half jokingly.
I know. I know. It's not like you're going after these people.
And even if I do a meet, I'm just doing open. I'm not doing fucking all these divisions.
Yeah.
I'm just lifting an open division. What happens, happens. I don't care.
Yeah.
I do plan on doing another meet eventually. My wife don't like to hear that, but I'm going slow and I'm being smart about it, you know.
Well, I think the training questions that I'll have with the current position that you're in actually would pertain to more people than just heart transplant, right? Because you could flip that out and say any cardiovascular incident, heart attack, anything like that, or I don't know if like joint replacements really count, but kinda, because it's as you move forward, you can still get stronger. You have no idea what that peak is going to be,
right? Nor
does anybody, because it's like a reset, which we were talking about earlier, which is a little fucked up.
Yeah.
Because you still compare yourself to your past
all the time.
But as long as it's still moving forward, it can still move forward. But there's certain things that we were talking about earlier that I've found that you got to figure a balance out, because nobody really has answers. Like, is it Valsalva maneuvers you need to avoid? Is it the blood pressure? Is it, if it's joints, is it the weight, or is it the number of repetitions?
Yeah, I never knew about that Valsalva maneuver with that raising your blood pressure that much.
Yeah.
So when I started back at it, I wasn't even doing that. I think I remember texting you. I was literally like, and I wasn't lifting much, but I was just breathing normal up and down. I wasn't, breathing like you should.
Yeah.
And I'm getting back to that point, and I haven't had any problems with it yet, but like we talked, my little concern is that tensile strength of the heart and the root, holding that and that kind of push. I don't want it to pull apart. So, yeah, I don't know. It's going good. I don't know. Just keep moving forward, like you said.
Yeah. So as you lay your training out, because you physically can still lay it out, but because you really don't know where you're at, right? So it's I guess only the people that have been in these positions are going to get what the fuck we're talking about here. Because you don't know where you at, you don't know if this is like a medium mesocycle or a light mesocycle or even a heavy mesocycle, because you don't know where it is, because you really don't want to test, for one thing, right? Especially like the 1 rep max.
I'm doing more like mesocycles, so I'm kind of doing like 3-week waves with different bars, and and I have it all wrote down. I mean, detailed. I'll do like kind of a 5-3-1, if you will, but not exactly, and also a blend of conjugate and a linear progression. It's really different, but it's working for me. So week 1 I'll do 5s, next week 3s, and then singles, and I'll test different bars, different waves. But on my accessories, I'm doing like 12s 1 week, 10s, and then 8s.
Yeah.
So I'm staying in that range, but it's working really good. And my weight kind of stalled out 285, 288, but I'm good with that. I don't want to weigh, I think my heaviest was 312.
Yeah.
But it's learning experience. I do go back on my old numbers, and I'm trying to get new numbers, and it's a little frustrating, but I'm getting a good base. It's going really good.
So with those cycles of, say, the week 5, the week 3, and the week 1, when it's a week 5, how many reps in reserve do you think that there's there?
I think I have more, but again, like you talked about earlier, I'm not pushing the envelope. I'm doing it to where it's.
How far away do you think you are from pushing that envelope on a scale of 1 to 10?
So RP.
Yeah, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, I think like I'm probably a 7 or 8.
All right, now what about the single though?
No, I'm talking about the single. The single, I'm probably like a 7. I could definitely feel like I could do one more. But half of the time I'm lifting with work by myself.
Yeah.
You see it. I'm not with anyone, so I don't really. Not just do not want to push it because of my heart.
Sure.
For safety purposes, I don't want to get stuck under the strap.
Well, you could say your heart is safety too.
Yeah. Right.
Like fuck the heart. I just need a spot.
Yeah, I need a spot. And I've literally been putting out there to people like, hey, I'll fucking comp you a membership. I need spots. Like the other day.
So you would push it harder.
I would push it hard. Well, yeah. Right now, I would definitely keep pushing hard. I just need spots like dumbbells, like we talked about. I almost didn't have spots. I had 2 people that were just there handing to me.
Yeah.
I can't get those 150s up, So, yeah, deadlifts, I don't need spots, obviously.
Yeah.
There's people in the gym in case anything weird happens, but for most, I'd like to have someone watching me.
So on the rep work, then where does that fall? As far as reps in reserve or failure?
I would say about the same.
Okay.
Yeah, about the same. I'm not going all out. And again, I do track. I want to make sure I don't get too high up and I kind of relax a little bit. And
you track what?
My heart rate, all that. So, I do, for 2 movements, it's usually taking me 45 minutes. I'm doing a lot of sitting. I don't want to rush it. You know what I'm saying? Going slow. But I think I could do more. But over time, I'll add another exercise here and there. Right now, I'm just doing 2 a day. That's it.
How old are you now?
I'm real age 45. I'm not celebrating no more. I'm turning August 22nd. So,
I think broadly, a lot of what we're talking about would apply. People 45, 55 is because you're making gains. You're still making progress. I still make progress on the stupid shit that I do. It's just a little dial back than what it would have been when you're in your 30s.
Of course.
And I think another thing that happens too, you get to that 45 to 55 range, is if you tear something, you're not going to recover the same way.
Yeah, right.
But the older you get, like if you have to have surgery on whatever is torn, bicep, pec, whatever it is, a lot of times you'll go in, and you've heard the stories and I've heard the stories, they go in to get the bicep or the pec fixed, but while they're there,
Find something else.
something else fucking goes wrong.
Yeah, of course.
You know, and then they're dealing with an issue for 6 months.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't happen when you're 20 and you tear a pec.
Yeah.
You know, it's just shit falls apart as we get older generally.
Yeah.
So you want to avoid. Now it's more avoiding injury than training hard.
Yeah.
Instead of when you're younger, training really hard and hoping you don't get hurt.
Yeah. What's really helping me, I feel like, and I practice what I preach. I do a lot. I don't want to sound like a mobility expert, but I don't static stretch, but I go through the movements. I do more mobility. I get more warmed up. And that's not just doing the bar 10 times and benching. I'll do a lot of rehab, prehab for my shoulders, for my hips. And I feel like that's helping a ton. And I do still do the static stretch after, and that helps a lot as well.
Did you always do that, though? Because you kind of came up with that.
I did. So at Wisconsin, it was a different template. I learned a lot of my dynamic warm-up and stuff out of Priest's at Fairlawn. When I played in Jersey, I didn't realize how fortunate I was. I met Defranco and Martin Rooney out there, and I didn't realize who they were at the time. I got a funny story on Joe if you want to hear.
Oh, no, let's go into it.
So I loved my strength coach in college, John Detman. So after football, I printed out the sheets and I'd white out and I'd write shit down, and I carried it with me. And I was lifting heavy as fuck, like I said, for football, $600, what, every fucking week. Joe was out there, and this was a time of what's that, Jim Tan, Jersey Shore.
Jersey Shore, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm like, who the fuck is this guy?
He kind of looks like
he
it
comes
too,
up
right?
and he comes up and talks to me. He's like, hey, let me see what you got. I'm like, okay. And he's like, what the fuck is this? And I'm kind of a fan. I'm like, what the fuck? Who are you? He goes, this is garbage. Can I tear it up? I'm like, this motherfucker. and then he tells me about you guys. He tells me about, hey, you really need to check out West Side and Dave Daniels. I'm like, this motherfucker. And I'm still kind of pissed off. Go back and lift. And then I start researching all this shit with you guys. And my numbers went fucking skyrocketed after that. And like, I was kind of plateaued after Wisconsin because we kind of did the same shit. And I got strong, but then it was like this. Yeah. And when I talked to Joe after then, I really went up after that. And I appreciate him. He probably don't remember me. I mean, this is back in like 2002. Yeah. But
at that level, though, because now you're a couple years into the arena ball.
Yeah, 2 years.
So at that level, you becoming stronger, did that really help your game?
Fuck yeah. Well, again, my position, and I was a zero technique. Yeah. So arena, you had 3 linemen, 3D linemen. I was a zero. So again, center and then a linebacker coming up or a guard smashing you down.
Oh, I forgot about that because there's only 3 up front.
3.
Right?
So I'm still getting smashed. Either I got to get the center, and then one of the linemen is smashed, and the linebacker's coming up. So I'm still getting hit every fucking which way. Yeah. So it definitely, I was fortunate. I think my base, my whole time stayed up because I had to be strong. You're fighting 600, 650 of dudes coming at you. You know what I'm saying? So it definitely helped.
So there's going to be a side question off of that. How's that game change when you're in that position? Because normally you're reading ahead to know where the ball is, right?
It's such tight quarters. So it's really just, for me, my position, push the pocket. The quarterback's behind you, just got to push that fucking center. Whatever else comes, you push it and you let the...
I got it. Okay.
Again, my position sucked. I'm just pushing, fucking bull rushing while the ends are making the fucking...
So you're not really reading a whole lot. You're just making room for them.
My job, again, for 8 years after, I got paid to fucking basically push a bunch of weight into the pocket. That was it.
Was that a hard change from going from college to that?
So my first 2 years, it was Ironman football. So I had to play center and nose guard. It was both. And I haven't played center since high school. I'm like, I don't even know how to snap the ball. So then Elway got involved in it, and when I was in Denver, and they switched the whole thing from Ironman. They were trying to, remember NFL Europe? So they were trying to get rid of NFL Europe, which they did, and try to make arena NFL indoor. So we had the NFLPA was our union and everything, and it was good, but then I think the recession hit and everything just flopped.
Yeah.
It's coming back. Columbus is actually in talks. I follow them on Twitter. They're coming back, but probably a way different model.
Yeah.
So
getting back, we were talking about your warm-ups,
Yep.
right? So going back to Wisconsin, the mobility and stuff. No, the stretching. The stretching is what we were talking about.
Yeah, we did a lot. We always warmed up. We always stretched after, and I didn't do that in high school. I didn't know, so I learned that, and then I carried that over after in the arena. I'd always have a good coach, a strength coach. I always pick his brain on how to get better, what to do, but I still do mobility. Every workout I do it.
Did you carry that over to when you were powerlifting?
Yeah, all the time.
Because I don't remember you having a lot of soft tissue injuries.
I never had any. Never. I never had an injury. At one time in college, I rolled my ankle.
Yeah.
Once. Other than that, I've never even had stitches. Never had a broken bone, nothing until this.
Well,
yeah, now it's a wrap.
Yeah, you would have been nice to have all the stitches instead of all that, right?
Fuck yeah.
So do you attribute, what attributes do you attribute to you not having any soft tissue injuries when you were powerlifting? Because that was still a 5-year stretch.
Taking care of my body, I legit, I'm telling you, I stretch. I don't mean the splits like, is his name Juju?
Yeah.
I can't stand up, but I'd sit on my butt. I could touch my chest and hold it.
Yeah.
I could stretch, and I was, like I said, 310. I would stretch every fucking day, and I think that helped a ton. Mm-hmm. And, of course, static after, of course. But I think that's what I attribute, and I took care of my body. I would enjoy a drink here or there, but I didn't fucking stay up till 3 or 4 in the morning every night. I got sleep. I took care of my body, you know. But I think that's the biggest thing is the warm-ups and the stretching and stuff really kind of continued my powerlifting and football career.
So a lot of the habits, I guess there's a multifaceted question because while in college, the habits are being instilled in you because you're essentially, for lack of a better way of explaining it, you're brainwashed. You need to be here at 5 o'clock in the morning until 10, right?
4 years. I mean, it was, I don't want to compare it, and I'm not comparing it to like military.
But it is.
It's like strict. You're 10 minutes, 15 minutes early. You leave late. You're fucking busting your ass. If not, you're in trouble.
Yes.
I mean, our coach Alvarez, I remember I tried to be cute. I had my ears pierced before. The moment I got there, take those fucking things out. No fucking earrings, no hats. Like, it's strict by the book. And you had fun, too. I don't want, it was a fun experience, but it's a business.
Yeah.
And you're there to perform and do well. And I did learn a lot of traits. I still schedule everything the night before on my fridge. I got a schedule. And my mother-in-law actually, were you in the military? I said, no. This is what I've done forever. I schedule everything. I still write shit in the book every day, you know.
So how many of those traits carried over to the arena ball?
I think everything.
Okay.
Yeah, everything. I started learning that in college, and it carried. And again, in arena ball, I had some great coaches, some phenomenal coaches that taught me some stuff too, and that carried over, and it just kept going, you know.
Then how? Because what I'm looking for is then those same things. A lot of those same things carried over to powerlifting.
Yeah. Yep.
Then how many of those things carried over to when you established your gym, Tanks Training Center?
My gym's weird, so I don't know if it was luck or what, but I never took any like business classes or anything weird. I literally I said, hey, this is what I want to do. And I trained some people, my mother and a couple friends, just to help them. And I found my passion, and I always got along with my strength coach well. And my business just kind of, from word of mouth, and picked up. You know, people enjoyed what they did. I don't run, my template's kind of like a strength conditioning program, and people like that. It's not it's different. Teach your own. It's not a boot camp. It's not a CrossFit. It's periodized training. You know, I got a plan, and we attack it, and we get after it. We lift. Whether you're, I got a gentleman that's 82 that comes in and smashes it. I got a client, my son was my youngest. He started like 10.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of that stuff carried over, though, from what I learned in college, from my, I can't say enough goods, even though I hated them most of the time, my coaches, they really helped me kind of get me through and teach me stuff.
But whatever your plan or process is, it's working, right? You may not be, a fucking billionaire, but for a business to last 12 years now, 13?
So June the 9th will be 14 years.
14 years, right? So for a business to last over a decade, it's like a 0.001% chance.
Yeah. Let me tell you, and I'll take it a step further. When I bought my new, I was in an old place, 5,000 square feet, and I loved it there. 6 years. I bought my new place, and not even a year after I bought that's when I got sick. So somehow all those years, barely, and I was still in there. I was on a megaphone. I couldn't hardly yell. Blah, blah, do this, do that. Talking to my clients, and it worked.
Well, that was the second testament I was going to make to your business plan, for you to be able to still have it go and continue while going through what you had to go through with your heart, especially because the bad periods weren't just like a bad day here or there. It's like you're gone for like a month, 2 months, but it still runs.
Yeah, I had a lot of help. So like I talked about Randy really had my parents, my wife. I had a few other gentlemen that helped me fill in for my classes, my groups. And I would text them, I'd be in the bed, hardly moving, being able to text what you're doing, you know what I mean? Or write it down, give it to my wife to go give it to them. And it worked. I really didn't, I was a little nervous. And I was in the hospital 3 separate times and the transplant for weeks. Yeah. And it worked, and I didn't really lose anyone. If nothing else, I gained more people, which is cool.
Well, yeah, when there's a few business takeaways there that are really critical. Yeah. One, which is kind of the shitty part, but it's the truthful part. You still have to do this shit. You still have to get the work done anyhow. Yep. Even if that means you're on your deathbed in a hospital waiting for a heart, you still got to send the text messages out and do the work. Yep. That's the discipline behind. That's just the reality of having your own business that a lot of people just don't grasp. Yeah. Like, you don't clock out.
Never. You're always trying to think of something or do something better, or you're always brainstorming. Yeah. Always thinking about it.
And then the other side of it, if you create the systems effectively, you can have the freedom to be able to do it from a hospital bed or while on vacation or wherever it is. It still has to get done. But the location doesn't always have, if the systems are good. Like, now, if you have to be there physically training the people all the time.
Yeah, so my place it's not really, it is a gym. Yeah. So after, I think, like 3 or 4 years, initially it was just where I did training. I trained athletes, I trained clients. And then it was such a big facility, I'm like, I might as well open up to a gym. So my place is not really built like a key card place. I do have gym members, but I do have to, I don't have to be there. Let me take this back. When I was in the hospital, people filled in for me in the class. Yeah. So it is a job where you got to kind of be hands-on. But like I said, I'm thankful for a lot of people for all those times. So
when to sidetrack the conversation, because we've been talking about how to train as you're older, or how to train through adversity, health issues, health issues. Yeah. There was. And I don't know if it was the XPC after the one that you won. It was either that one or the one after. You had some lifters lifting in the meet, and there were two or three women, right? And they were impressive, because I remember talking to you, and the only thing I can still remember to this day is, like, these women look like they would be willing to eat somebody's face off, right? And it's just because they had the assertiveness, the aggressive, just what was needed for that time, which was really fucking cool to see, right? And we see it more now. We see it more now than in the past. But back then, it was that they just reminded me, like, if they were like just traveling around somewhere, they just fucking destroy anybody for whatever reason.
Yeah, we attract a different, just like
you think? Yeah, I mean, from them. Yeah.
Like, most of my clients are a little outside the box and a little bit ornery. And they're definitely there for a purpose. They're already badass, but they're trying to get more badass. And I know the girls you're talking about. That was Kayla, Chelsea, and Kelsey. Yeah. And they were strong. They were all fucking strong. And it was good to see. And we're starting to do that more. We just got back from Brandon Smitley's meet. So we're starting to get back into the powers meet with the crew again. So.
How long were they in the sport, just out of curiosity?
Those girls, I don't think any of them are doing it now. I think they might lift on their own, but I don't see them much anymore.
Like 3 to 5 years, maybe?
Yeah, I bet they probably did it for that sounds about right. And I think they still lift heavy somewhere. I don't see them no more.
Yeah. Well, most of your clients are not that.
No. Most of my clients are retained. I don't really charge a lot of money, so it's never a money thing. If I lose someone, it's mainly because they just can't do the workout no more. It's just kind of tough on the body. They're just like,
Yeah.
I can't do it. But most people I retain, and we have a good group right now, really rolling. It's really exciting, you know.
So you've through, and we didn't get into the high school because high school's high school, but you've been through a lot of different training modalities, and you've learned through, you know, a lot of different people, and it makes it easier for you to navigate what you're doing now. You know, the auto regulation for what you do or what I do, it's a little easier because we kind of know what we're supposed to do. Now, if we are compliant, that's kind of like another story, but most of the time we kind of are. Granted, we're going to get stuck, you know, here and there and have to ask people stuff. But that's not how you train the people that you're working with. How has that evolved over time? You know, so because 14 years, you're not training people the same way you did when you opened the place.
No. So when I first opened up, I kind of like thought it was a cool, just beat them into the ground, a lot of reps, fucking smash.
Yeah.
And as I learned, you just can't take that every time, especially the load of weights. So I kind of got away from thinking it's cool just to beat them up. I more, and that was only the first year or two, I kind of thought, hey, let's run a more of a progression with this. You know what I'm saying? Like I started with linear, and we do waves and stuff with conjugate with them as well. But it has progressed. A lot of the guys now, for me, majority, not all, I like that linear progression. It still works for them.
How long do you run that for?
Well, I do it. I don't really want to call it a powerlifting deload. We do we'll do 3 or 4 weeks, and then we'll back off a little bit. I don't like calling that a deload because it's not really that. It's higher reps, just kind of back off the weights. So to answer your question, probably 12 to 14 weeks.
Okay.
And we test everyone too, and I tell them, we're not powerlifting here. I just need numbers to see where you're at if you're making progress.
What do you test them on?
So we have a bunch of tests. The 4 compounds would be squat, bench, deadlift, overhead press, strict overhead press.
Yeah.
Then we do stuff like I have a radius around my blocks, a third of a mile. We sprint that or as fast as you can. We test like a plank, a pull-up, or if they can't do pull-ups, a chin-up hold.
Yeah.
Push-ups, sit-ups. There's one. I think that's it. Yeah. So it's more of a fitness thing, testing-wise, but we do the compounds, which everyone loves. I mean, it's really taken on. It's pretty cool.
Well,
That's the clients. That's not the power.
well, no, I get that, but as long as that's progressing, they're moving in the right direction.
Yeah, and we progress. There's no one that really goes down. It's pretty cool. And even if it's 5 pounds, it's progress, you know.
So if this is running through 12 or 16 weeks or 4 months of a linear, and then they're progressing, do you run them back through that linear again?
So, well, then we'll do like a 4-week block of like some hypertrophy stuff.
Okay.
Or we do a little block of some isometric stuff, and we throw in some specialty bars, stuff like that. We'll test them. We'll do 4 or 5 weeks of something else, and then we'll get back to it. So I probably test them twice a year, something like that. It's not twice a year.
Yeah.
So
6 months.
Yep.
At what point would they then move into something that you would call more conjugate?
my powerlifters that I help and train, they do more of the conjugate. So I have so we just took 8 to Brendan's meet at RPS. Is that right? They do more of the conjugate stuff, the more advanced stuff. I don't bring, when I say advanced, like we're not doing chain squats or band squats, stuff like that. We just started doing some posterior stuff, like some glute hams and stuff, showing them that. But mainly like for posterior, they do like leg curls, RDL, something a little easier. And plus, if I got a group of 12, it's hard to get 12 in a glute ham raise, in an amount of time. You got an hour. But not a big, the conjugate's mainly more for the power lifters. Yeah.
How does some of the programs that you've had over the years, the dog shit method being one, and then the badass, the BAMF?
Yeah. So
where do they come? Where are they rooted in first?
So the dog shit method, I didn't know till after there was a gentleman that did like a dog crap or something.
Yeah.
I was poking fun at myself.
Yeah.
Because I've had people say, "Oh, that's shit." So
It's Dante. Yeah.
I was gonna call it fucking horse shit or I just called dog shit. But that is actually, people have actually done that. That is from an actual temple we ran, and they had very good progress at the meet. So that is an exact blueprint.
They ran that for a meet?
Yeah, that is the exact thing we did, and I had actual really good progress. Spencer Barnes did it once. I had Brody did it once. We had actual lifters do that and have fucking fantastic meets.
Yeah,
that is an actual blueprint from what we did. That is taken from exactly what I did. That's not like that shit works.
This is an article on Elite FTS that Chris has written for us, so you guys can search that. He's written a lot of articles for us.
Yeah, and I poke fun because you're going to look at it and say, "Oh, this is fucking shit." Well, call it dog shit. You don't have to do it, but I'm telling you.
Well, if you look at it and it looks like shit, but the title says dog shit, then what would they expect?
Right. I was doing it to poke fun of myself. I'm the badass motherfucking wrestler. That's a collab I had with a friend I played in football. He's actually one of Mike Westerdahl's friends from Critical Bench. His name's Steve Konopka.
Yeah.
He owns Strength and Training out there on the East Coast in Connecticut. So we collabed, and we both like training wrestlers. It's an actual individualized thing for a wrestler, and it kind of came out right before COVID. So, and we did some online stuff to help the wrestling community too. But that's actually stuff we do with the wrestlers. That's on there. That's not shit we just kind of write down and say, "Let's see if this works."
How many wrestlers do you have in your facility?
Shit up through the years.
Yeah.
Fucking hundreds.
Yeah.
I've trained teams, individuals. I've had fucking state champs, all that. So, and that's not just what wrestling's not the only thing. I've trained football. I got a wall of all, just not as in depth as that. But I've had NFL players, Division I this, Division I that, and all this shit I'm sharing is stuff I've done. This isn't like fucking sit and just write. Try that. No, this is stuff we've done. It works. If you don't want to do it, don't do it.
Wrestling's a different mentality, so let's talk about that one, right? So
I wrestle. It's nuts.
Yeah. So they come. Well, before making assumptions, do they still have the same work ethic and capacity?
Some of them, I do think, I remember my father saying how they used to walk 4 miles in the snow to school, and I was like, whatever. But I kind of believe the old school guys did, and I think every generation is getting a little bit, not everyone, but a little bit softer. And for wrestling, I feel like at some people are getting softer. There's one monster here and there, but I do feel like majority, not all, a little bit softer.
All right, so you wrestled in high school then, right?
Yeah.
All right, so that would have been 10 years age difference, so a little bit down. I mean, for me, I guess I would say 80%, 70-80% of my team, no, I'm being too generous, 60% were fucking ridiculous with the training. Like,
crazy.
Me personally, like running an hour every morning, and then lifting weights 3 hours, and then running the stairs after practice for forever.
Yes.
But it wasn't just me. I mean, it was kind of like it ingrained in maybe the coaches ingraining it in the mindset of the athletes, but as I moved away from the sport and then later on started seeing wrestlers that I was advising and helping, it was a tough one, because a lot of it was, dude, you need to stop doing a lot of this shit because you can't get strong. So that's not an issue anymore.
So give you a little background.
Yeah.
My high school, we hold the national dual team records, overall best. Now it's probably close now, or we might be second. But our coach was a fucking maniac. His name was Coach Garland. I love him. I don't realize how much of an effect he had on me until years after. But he'd have all of us he'd fucking destroy us, run us into the ground. We wouldn't lift. We would run. I remember fucking crying, wanting to quit every fucking day. And thank God my dad didn't let me quit. But you talk about the same concept. So we never got stronger, but I think we were just mentally so fucking tough. I mean, we'd run the stairs, climb the ropes, fucking 100 burpees every day, just shit you see now, you're like, there could have been maybe a better way, but at that time, it fucking worked. We won state my junior year. We were USA Today #9, and 8 before us were all private schools.
Yeah.
So we were roughnecks. I mean, everyone busted their ass. It was fucking tough, and that's where I think a lot of my mental toughness came from. But you're right. I think now if I looked at that, I wouldn't program. I'd train a little smarter, to get strong.
Well, I think some of it with what you're talking about, I wouldn't say my school was like that, but other ones in my district were like that.
Yeah.
There's a pride thing with it too.
Yeah.
Because everybody that came before you did the same things.
Yeah.
You know, so that as you come into it, you're kind of, you have a standard,
Yeah.
you know, which is being set, where maybe that standard's change, which in some degrees it's a good thing. But when they get to you, right, you still have to balance what they're doing, and this is kind of a problem, I guess, or not a problem, something you have to contend with.
Yeah.
You have to deal with the poor conditioning or good conditioning of what their coaches are having them do.
Yeah.
Right? So their coaches may be having them do 1,000 fucking push-ups as a warm-up or whatever. You can't call the coach and say, dude, you know, stop doing that. You got to integrate it in with what you're having them do.
I've literally called and talked to coaches, and I have a fucking hard time biting my lip, like some of the shit they're doing, because I know it's wrong. I know it's not right, but you don't want to fuck the athlete up and get the coach mad at them, or I don't know. I do take it a step further, and I hope I don't get off track. A lot of these people I'm talking to are not qualified. They're sports coaches. They're not fucking, they shouldn't be in the weight room, but they are. Maybe don't have the help, I don't know, but they're doing the wrong thing, and it's very hard to bite my lip and not say something or tell them how you should do it. They don't want to fucking hear it. You know what I mean?
Well, because I've had other coaches, facility owners, in the same position that you are, have some success, not a lot, but more so than I thought, with the coaches. If they're working with the athlete and they can prove that they're working with the athlete, then the coach won't run them through the weight room.
Yeah.
Like, so they have to do all the other stuff, but in the weight room, maybe they do whatever they need to do to keep the team environment, because they can't just not be there.
I get
right?
that,
It's a team thing.
Yeah.
Everybody gets that.
Yeah.
But maybe they're spotty, maybe they're cheering, but they've been able to get them to back off of that. Have you had any success with that?
Not really. I try to talk to the coaches and explain, hey, there's a head coach, there's a coordinator, there's this. Everyone's got a purpose. There should be someone, and it might be a funding issue, but I do train teams from high schools, and that's all I do is the strength conditioning part, and that's all they do. They don't train on their own, but some coaches just don't want to hear it. They want to handle the whole thing. And I think they're really losing out on that. Missing out, I should say.
I think so.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't had much luck. I've talked to a couple people the last few weeks and just can't get through to them. So I don't want to push the envelope much. I don't want no one like pissed off. But I really did bite my lip. You know?
It is a weird thing, because if you can get the whole team, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Because then because I understand the coaches' hesitancy of having certain athletes, because there is the team component, the team culture.
Yep.
I'm going to go on a limb here. The team culture matters more than the individual strength.
I agree.
You know, and that's just what it is. But I think that could be managed better. Now, if you have the whole thing, on the flip side, you can get, I'm trying to think of a different example, like a track athlete, thrower, something like that, that whatever their throwing coach is having them do, especially at younger levels, is going to be stupid. I mean, I'd be very hard pressed to find something that's not, right? And it's not really necessary at that point, because just the way track operates. They're all in the weight room. And now, granted, if they're all in the weight room, all doing the same thing, there's probably a problem there.
Of course.
Right?
Yeah, you can't train a sprinter. Yes.
You know, so I can see more room for that conversation to be successful there. But it is a weird environment to where I ask these questions, because it's the only way I know to kind of see if that landscape is getting better. Because the lower end athletes are worse than they've ever been.
Yeah.
Right? Nobody's going to but on the flip of that, the higher end athletes are better than they've ever been.
There's some monsters out there nowadays.
Right. Same in powerlifting, right? Like the lower end of powerlifting is probably worse than it's ever been, but the higher end,
some fucking freaks.
You know, better than it's ever been. The middle, like everything in life, right? The middle's just getting fucking tanked at everywhere with everything. but it's happening there as well.
Yeah, the last few years, I mean, social media is, I guess, where I see it, but there are some fucking monsters out there. I'm like, holy shit. And it's the shift now. Not no one, but majority's raw now. And I'm like, how the fuck are they lifting that raw?
Yeah.
You know,
well, even in sport, though, it's happening.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, like the high school standouts are way bigger standouts than what they used to be.
Yeah.
And
I feel like everyone's getting more athletic and more
at the top end.
Yeah.
The bottom end.
Yeah,
You know,
the top.
you see, it's I think for younger athletes, this is probably the best time for them to have the ability to dominate at lower genetic levels than any time in history, because most of their competition is lazy. Like, say, when you were wrestling, most of the people who were wrestling or wanted to wrestle were probably, for the most part, all working hard.
They were.
The ones that wanted to be really good were, maybe, I'm just throwing numbers out as an example, maybe 40% of them wanted to be really, really good. So then when it came time for wrestle-offs, you got one guy that's going to be kind of hard, you know, that you're not going to just rifle through him.
Yeah.
Now, you may beat him the whole fucking year, but you know damn well he's going to be working to beat you the next year. Now I'm going to guess that for the wrestle-offs, either they don't even have them because there's not enough people.
It's probably some rule or something.
Yeah, there's some rule.
Yeah.
But that's what I try to tell the younger kids. If your potential competition is lazy playing video games and doesn't care and would rather just be a victim for attention, while you on the other side are going to say, fuck that, I'm going to bust my ass, you will rule.
Yeah, those are the champs right there.
And I think it's easier today. Not easier in the sense they still have to put in the work and still have to do all those things. They don't have to do less. They have to do the same amount as that, but they have less people to compete against.
That's the people I'm getting in my facility. You're probably seeing here the ones that want to put the work in and get better. I'm not getting majority. I'm not getting the ones that are playing the video games and just being lazy. They won't show up. They're not showing up to work. It's the champs you're talking about. That mindset, you know, those monsters.
But that mindset now, I guess the point I'm trying to say, that mindset now put into an average athlete will get them dominating the other ones. Not the genetic outliers are still going to be them, but that person that used to be a bench warmer, no matter how hard they worked, is now starting if they work hard.
I think, like you said, the majority of kids, not all, but there's a big chunk of kids that just aren't putting the work in, that are just there for the hell of it. But there are those little small percentage that are busting their ass, and those are the fucking studs.
How many, out of the demographics that you work with, how many are under 20 years old?
Well, my teams, you know, I got 3 or 4 teams. They're all in high school. I just had a kid that's 15, just deadlifted 551.
Wow.
Yeah. My son, fucking strong. I've been training him forever. I would say percentage-wise, under 20 to over 20, it's probably like a 60-40, 50-50, something like that. I get a lot. I get a ton of people coming in, just lack of better words, weekend warriors or people interested in getting stronger. They're watching social media, they're seeing this, and I get a good chunk of those people coming in, which is pretty cool. You know, I never really thought myself as training anyone. I always wanted to do the athletes, powerlifters, but I got some pretty badass, just kind of weekend warriors, for better words, you know.
Well, let's take a bathroom break, and we'll come back, and then we'll get into this weekend warrior training.
We're off.
Yeah. Are we good? Are we good? Yeah.
Today's episode is brought to you by EliteFTS.com. Founded in 1998 with the primary aim to live, learn, and pass on. Please help Elite FTS support this mission by smashing the like button, leaving a comment, sharing with a friend, and thinking of us for your training needs. If you can put it in a gym bag or load weights on it, Elite FTS has it.
What's going on? I'm Dave Tate. We are broadcasting from the middle of the Elite FTS weight room, where the underground still thrives and you're part of the crew. It's time to sit down, keep it real, and cut the bullshit. Welcome to Table Talk. I want to let you guys know that we just had a limited edition drop on the website last week of new items that sweatshirt, flannel, t-shirts, shorts. Basically, the limited edition items are the items that directly support the Table Talk podcast. So if you go to elitefts.com/limited edition, or actually just the link in the description, you can find the limited edition items that we have now, which there's the one that I like the best is the shit, suck, good, great, which is all emojis. The designs I always like the best, right? They're the ones that don't sell for shit, but they're the ones that I want to wear that I like the best. And there's the cigar one as well. And they're all there on the screen for you guys to be able to see. So if you go to elitefts.com/limited edition, the other thing that directly helps support the podcast that I haven't talked that much about is the Table Talk crew. The Table Talk crew is extra edition episodes that go out once a month. The content of those episodes are AMA related, question related, that come from the Table Talk Discord group, which is also part of being in the crew. When you're in the crew, there's dozens of ebooks that are in there. There's every seminar that we've ever done is put on there. There's courses that are put on there. There's series that have put on there. The original YouTube channel that we had for many years, before we migrated to the newer one, all that old content is on there. There's discussion groups for just general training, fitness, life, nutrition, basically everything that you can think of is on. So just go look at what that is, or better than that, just go to the description, click on join the crew. That helps directly support the podcast, which is how we're able to keep this thing rolling.
Today's episode is brought to you by EliteFTS.com. Founded in 1998 with the primary aim to live, learn, and pass on. Please help Elite FTS support this mission by smashing the like button, leaving a comment, sharing with a friend, and thinking of us for your training needs. If you can put it in a gym bag or load weights on it, Elite FTS has it.
What's going on? I'm Dave Tate. We are broadcasting from the middle of the Elite FTS weight room, where the underground still thrives and you're part of the crew. It's time to sit down, keep it real, and cut the bullshit. Welcome to Table Talk. I want to let you guys know that we just had a limited edition drop on the website last week of new items that sweatshirt, flannel, t-shirts, shorts. Basically, the limited edition items are the items that directly support the Table Talk podcast. So if you go to elitefts.com/limited edition, or actually just the link in the description, you can find the limited edition items that we have now, which there's the one that I like the best is the shit, suck, good, great, which is all emojis. The designs I always like the best, right? They're the ones that don't sell for shit, but they're the ones that I want to wear that I like the best. And there's the cigar one as well. And they're all there on the screen for you guys to be able to see. So if you go to elitefts.com/limited edition, the other thing that directly helps support the podcast that I haven't talked that much about is the Table Talk crew. The Table Talk crew is extra edition episodes that go out once a month. The content of those episodes are AMA related, question related, that come from the Table Talk Discord group, which is also part of being in the crew. When you're in the crew, there's dozens of ebooks that are in there. There's every seminar that we've ever done is put on there. There's courses that are put on there. There's series that have put on there. The original YouTube channel that we had for many years, before we migrated to the newer one, all that old content is on there. There's discussion groups for just general training, fitness, life, nutrition, basically everything that you can think of is on. So just go look at what that is, or better than that, just go to the description, click on join the crew. That helps directly support the podcast, which is how we're able to keep this thing rolling. All right, guys, we're back. What I want to jump back into this with is the weekend warrior thing, because it's probably not what people think it's going to be. I would say that the way that I personally train is like a weekend warrior, because actually most the heavy training is on the weekend because it's the only time I can find spots and have a group. Right. Then during the week, it's just stupid bodybuilding type crap, you know, that kind of plays into that. Is that, so when you're talking about that weekend warrior type person, I assume you're talking a professional person that wants to train, professional job-wise, you know, that's a fucked up way to say it too, because it could be blue collar, white collar, professional, whatever. Training's not their first priority like when you're competing.
Right, it's just like I say it, it's not the best verbiage, but like soccer mom, weekend warrior, it's just someone that doesn't really have an athletic background or a training background where they kind of have interest in it and they want to come and start training, and then they just get hooked on it. So
how many days a week do you have them train?
Most of them go 4 times a week, which is crazy. I mean, they love it, and then some even come 5. And I honestly think if I had 7 days a week, someone would come all the time. But I actually scaled back on a couple days just because of their recovery. A lot of them weren't recovering properly by training too much. And I know when I'm throwing at them, they need more rest. So I would say most of them come 4 times a week.
So with those, would you say that the programming is more strength-based, hypertrophy-based, or fitness-based?
I think it's a blend. I know that's a lot going out at once, but we do strength, we do accessory work at higher reps, we do waves of fitness like we talked about, like after we test 4 weeks of that. But I think in general, I like everyone being strong. I mean, that's what I know, that's what I teach. So I try to get everyone strong just for life, for everyday life. I constantly demonstrate picking up like a laundry basket, proper form, deadlift, boom. So I think strength's the main thing we teach, but we also get in the waves of hypertrophy, higher rep type stuff. And we do a couple weeks of fitness. So this is throughout a whole, like a year, like a macro. You know?
Yeah. I'm going back to when I train clients, and I didn't see a difference. I mean, if they train 3 times a week or train 5 times a week, the result was kind of the same. 2 times a week, there was a problem. Right? 2 times a week, there's some result. Is it the same? Are you seeing the same thing?
I think the sweet spot is 3 to 4. I think more than 4, they're beating their body up. Now, again, we're talking about age, but I still think younger athletes can overtrain too. And go in the negative instead of the positive. But I think the sweet spot is a 3 or 4. I like the 4-day. That's kind of what I did throughout my life. I did a Monday, Tuesday, and you take off Wednesday, like 2, 1, and 2, and then the weekends off. And that worked. When I was powerlifting, I was still doing that, and it worked great for me because I had the whole weekends to recover, hang with the family, and then I had 1 day split in the middle where I didn't do shit, just recovered, stuff like that.
I've always liked the 4 as well. I mean, now, granted, if 1 day is like arms, then 5, you know, but
some light stuff, sure.
It's just stupid, you know. It's just. Now I just threw a 5th day in because I realized I skip lats all the time. I'm like, okay, fuck it. I'm come to the conclusion I'm just probably not going to do them. So I'm just going to throw it on its own day, which the way that I train it's nothing like what I used to. I mean, we're talking pull down, the chest supported row. It's not like I'm fucking doing deadlifts.
It's just a little bit.
Just enough to stimulate and then to get out. Then after I do it, I'm like, you know, this is kind of stupid. I should just do this on my other days. And it's this inner battle that kind of goes back and forth with all that. With that population that you're talking about, what age range?
So I'd say most of not my athletes, my clients would be between 30 and 60.
Okay.
I have a couple older. I know I have a couple that are 60, 65. I have one guy that's 82, fucking monster. My mother, monster, she's 76. But that's not the norm. I'd say the norm's like you're 30 to 50, majority 30 to 40, somewhere in there, majority. But that's not including the athletes. That's just clients. So, and they all dig it. They love lifting, man. It's pretty awesome.
How long have they been? What's your normal client?
I've had some that have been with me all 14 years. I have others 10 years. I don't get like, you know, you talk about the New Year's Day crowd. I don't get like a surge. So majority of people that come, they stay. You know, I don't have, most of my classes are 8 to 12 people. Then I have some one-on-ones as well, but I don't have a big turnaround. Everyone kind of sticks with it. It's pretty cool.
Well, that comes down, it's the business side of that, which you say you don't know, but you kind of do.
Yeah.
You know, it comes down to the branding over a period of time. So you're not going to attract, you know, the New Year's resolutioners.
No.
You know, where you're probably, any new clients are probably referrals from the clients that you already have.
I've never, ever advertised New Year's Eve revolutions or whatever.
Yeah.
Never. And not that to each their own, that's great. I just never have. And you're right. It's all word of mouth. Hey, I go to this place. You should check it out. One of those things. I've never paid for ads, or now social media is great advertising. But I've never advertised. It's all word of mouth, really.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, you were killing it there for the Reels for a while, or the Facebook stuff.
I do. So mine are definitely not that educational. They're just, you know, I time it with sounds, just try to be stupid or fun. And so I throw some educational stuff on there, but a lot of the stuff, I really wasn't wanting to be on camera for years, just how sick I looked, and I couldn't demonstrate. I couldn't show you how to do a proper push-up. I couldn't do this. So I avoided the camera for many years because of that. I just couldn't talk, you know, without getting out of breath. But I'm going to start getting a little more into the educational part and explaining why we do what more.
It was working. I mean, granted, they took the monetization away.
Yeah.
You know, so
I was just telling some, I don't know why, I guess they're paying out too much money or something, but yeah, they took every, and I know you get gifts now or something. I'm like, nobody's giving me a fucking gift.
Yeah, like fuck the gift, man.
I've never got a gift in my life. Come on. No way. So, but yeah, it's the Reels are great advertising, fantastic, and the clients love it. They always ask me, you know, tag them or whatever.
Okay.
And the athletes even more love it. So it's pretty cool.
So it serves into it.
Definitely.
This is the one thing that I've told facility owners, and this was pre-COVID when I was saying this too. I used to tell them, don't post your athletes' PRs. Let them use their own phone and have them post their PRs on their feed.
Sure.
Right? Because that way their friends are going to see it, and then they're going to want to come train with you instead of you putting it there. Your branding, or not branding, your social media strategy is a little bit different because it's more fun with all that, which leaves room for you to be able to do what I'm talking about. So put it out there, you can tag them. Then they're going to want to share it.
Of course.
Right? Because it's funny, or, plays into the whole thing. Do you run into a problem with the athletes wanting to film everything while they're in the gym?
I really don't get that. Believe it or not, I do all the recording on everything. I don't have anyone. I'll sit, I'll fucking record like a rep, I'll fucking coach. Like I do everything, but most athletes say, can I get that? So I'll send it to them, or the clients will send it to them, and they do exact that. They post it, they reel it, but I do tag everyone, but I really don't. Gym members are different. They'll videotape their lifts. Yeah. But for my groups, we really don't have anyone with their phones recording nothing. Like I kind of handle everything. I'm like kind of a one-man show. Yeah. So kind of crazy. I need to hire someone eventually.
Well, it's like in an average gym, if you walk in during a busy time, there's going to be 57 tripods.
I see. Yeah. But I have not been to a commercial gym since probably 2009. Yeah. In Salt Lake City, I went to a Lifetime Fitness. That's the last time I've been to a commercial gym. I've been once on a vacation down in Destin, Florida, but it was obviously a meathead's gym. It was fucking awesome, like old school, like Nebula stuff. Yeah. Fucking amazing. But I see the videos and I see all the tripods, and I don't want to be a part of that. I'd rather train somewhere like here. That's not for me.
So I'm gonna ask you to go back, right? So you win the Rose Bowl, right? So you're in the stadium. What's that? 90, 100,000 people
like
in the stadium.
It was fucking nuts.
100,000 people in the stadium going fucking nuts. All that other kind of stuff. Then when you compete in the XPC and you squat 1,100 pounds. Yeah. What's the difference between how those two felt?
I think powerlifting's a little more personable. Like I played at Ohio State my freshman year coming out of Granite, and it was good, but it's so spread out. I played at Michigan. I don't know, you don't really notice it, if that makes sense. But in powerlifting, it's so personal. I don't know. I don't really get nervous in either, but I feel like it's just a little more personal on a powerlifting meet compared to 100,000 people that you're not really paying attention anyway. You're just doing your job out there.
Yeah. So you could feel more of the crowd in the powerlifting?
Well, I zoned out on everything.
No, I get what you're saying.
But during the time you're up to the once I'm on the platform, I'm fucking on.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think powerlifting is unique, man. I really loved it. I still do.
Yeah.
I think it's more personal than like 100,000, person watching a game.
What about the sense of accomplishment? Because after you win the game, I mean, you're jacked up for, an hour, and then normal life comes back in.
Yeah.
You hit a PR lift, you're jacked up for 15 seconds until you got to start warming up for the bench.
Yeah, you got to control that the whole time.
Yeah, which one? Because one's a team, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of where I'm going. One's a team, one's individual.
Individual sports are definitely different. Powerlifting's all on you. I feel like in football, you lean on, if you get in the wrong gap, you can lean on your the guy on the edge or the linebacker.
Mm-hmm.
Powerlifting, that's a one-man sport. If you go an inch here or there, you're done. You know? So I don't know. They're just different. I don't know which one's better. I enjoyed them both.
Yeah.
So
Well, you can win the Rose Bowl, and then you personally played a shitty game.
yeah.
Right, so that's got to have this weird feeling.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
where, granted, it's still a team thing. It took everybody to get there.
Yep.
It's just like the field goal kicker that misses.
Yeah.
Will somebody put him in that position to actually, you know what I'm saying? So optimally they shouldn't have had to have been put in that position to win, but it just happens to fall on their back. Where in powerlifting, it's you. No matter what.
That's it.
So you have a bad meet, it's a bad meet.
Yep.
Now, granted, they find reasons to blame everybody else.
I kind of like I had, when I say coaching, I had people helping me, like we talked about, but it was only me to blame. If I fucked up, I fucked up.
Yeah.
My last meet at the Arnold, right when he sponsored me, I bombed out. But I feel like my strength was up there. I just trying to learn that bench shirt, was just tricky. I just didn't have enough time. I wasn't used to the gear, But I think powerlifting is 100% you. If you do bad, it's on you. Not a coach, not anyone else. I mean, don't be that guy blaming everyone else. Point the finger at yourself,
Well, it's just, I guess what I'm getting at, because it's an 1,100-pound squat, right?
Yep.
So you stand up with 1,100 pounds. Out of all the accolades that you've done in sport, where would that rank for you personally?
Honestly, like, getting a sack for me was like fucking winning the lottery.
Yeah.
As a nose guard, I think in arena one year I had like fucking 3.5, 4 sacks. And it was like superstar shit. College, maybe a couple. But I think for me, getting that sack or squatting that big weight, that first time I squatted 1,000 was pretty cool. Just to say you squat 1,000, fucking awesome. And then 1,100 is always great. And then I think that year I won the Arnold, that was pretty fucking cool. I didn't realize that how well I did until after the fact. Like the 27-25 was pretty big.
What do you mean after the fact? Like the next day, or?
No, I just didn't. I was kind of new to the powerlifting world. I didn't really. I just kind of studied West Side, and so I didn't really understand. I still don't. I still didn't at the time understand how good that was back in the day, and it just it was different feel.
How old are your kids?
So my oldest son's 15. He's a freshman, football and wrestling. My daughter's 9, gymnastics, soccer as well. And my youngest is 4, and he's just a maniac. He's 4 years old, so I got 3.
And they're all involved in sport.
Yeah, well, the 4-year-old not yet. He's going to get there. He's definitely going to do something. He's wiry and crazy, But Roman, my oldest, does football and wrestling, kind of following my footsteps. He just finished his freshman year. He's about 215, 220 right now. And then my daughter's 9, and she's super strong. Her build is like gymnastics, like buffed out type.
How do you work with them? First off, can you work with them, or does somebody else have to work with them?
No. So my daughter, I'm going to start training lightly this summer. Same age I started my son Roman. Is about 9 to 10 years old, and we don't want to misload the spine or something bad, but we'll work the techniques. And they actually come to the gym and they learn a lot, honestly, just from sitting there watching what I do.
Yeah.
Like Roman was kind of a natural just from years of just sitting and watching. He kind of caught it real quick, and I think Maddox will be doing the same. So we do, PVC pipes or broomsticks, and we do the motions. We'll do deadlifts with kettlebells, stuff like that. We do lunges, all the body weight stuff, the pull-ups, the push-ups. I think she'll do fine, but yeah, just very light to start out with and kind of progress year to year.
Do you work with them on other skills such as visual acuity or movement?
So yeah, we do like change of direction drills, like agilities, set agilities, and stuff like that. I do some hand-eye coordinations, like, I throw the cards at them, they got to catch them, stuff like that, single legs, double legs, balance stuff. My daughter does gymnastics, so she doesn't need much of it already.
Yeah.
Roman, we do a lot of agilities and stuff that I've learned. I don't do any sports coaching. I let the coach do that. I just do stuff that'll improve him on the field or on the mat. Same with my daughter. I'll do stuff that'll improve her in the gymnastics world.
How often do they not want to do it?
So if I'm a big believer, if they say, all right, take the day off, I'm not going to be the person that pushes them into the ground to where they're just like, fuck this, I don't want to do it no more.
Yeah.
But really, honestly, they never say that. My daughter wants to work out at 9. My son's like, hey, when are we going? They want to. Now, I hope that continues, but I do see a lot of parents pushing their athlete into them and pressuring them into them they just fucking quit. They don't want to do it no more. And a lot of these, not all of them, but a lot of the parents are kind of living through their kids, if that makes sense, and pushing them so fucking hard to become that professional athlete or that Division I player instead of just don't be as pushy, you know what I'm saying? Let them want to do it, and they'll want to do it more often. But they really have never said they don't want to lift. If my son says, hey, I'm a little too sore, all right, back off, recover, eat, stretch, relax, no problem. But that hasn't happened yet.
Where are their downfalls? Is the nutrition solid? I mean, it's...
So my son, when he was younger, typical junk food, he's got a lot better. His favorite fucking food, steaks, which, price. My daughter is in the same level right now. We're trying to get her out of the junk food, but she's built, you wouldn't know it.
Yeah.
But I think for most kids, it's that sugary, refined bull crap, instead of a nice steak, potato type thing, with some greens. But I think that's it, just that junk food stuff. That's kind of their downfall,
Tell me a proud father moment. Either your kids in sport or training.
So my daughter, she's been busting her ass, and it is what it is, but she got a first place finally, and I was really proud of her, finally working hard. My son had a little knee injury, and him coming back and playing, starting, becoming captain at a new school his freshman year, and wrestling varsity as a freshman. If you wrestle varsity in high school as a freshman, you're like 105, 112. It's a big difference when you wrestle 195, 220. Those kids that are seniors are fucking big. So I was pretty proud of both of those guys for that, both my kids.
What about a coaching moment? So if going back to, here's the Rose Bowl, here's the 1,100-pound squat, here's this, what's something that one of your athletes have done that boom, just comes to your mind? Like, as soon as I asked this question, something came to your head.
Like something impressive?
Yeah, something impressive or that you're just incredibly proud of, one of the athletes.
Something fresh. I mean, I have some monsters, but for me, that gentleman, he's not a gentleman, he's a kid. He's a freshman, he's 15. He just pulled 551. I'm at a 181.
Yeah.
Like, it's pretty fucking good. That, to me, that's fresh in the mind. There's probably other things, but that just happened a few weeks ago. So for me, boom, that's it.
How long ago did he come into the place?
So he's a soccer player, and his mom, I know from a while ago, still keep in contact. She said, hey, he's interested in possibly powerlifting. I said, okay. I said, well, has he lifted before? He kind of lifts on his own a little bit. So he's been coming for maybe 6 months. And he had a pretty good base. I think he squatted deadlifted upper threes, and he squatted like 450 too. It was in kilos, so I'm still trying to learn that whole pound to kilo. I'm out of the game on that. But only for like six months maybe. And he just, now again, we're just throwing some stuff out of his body, that stimulus he's really getting. Eventually it's going to kind of teeter out. But for now, it's like, Jesus. Same thing. I think he could be really good. And he doesn't know he wants to play soccer or powerlift, but there are those opportunities for powerlifting now. And I think in a few more years, there'll be more opportunities for these powerlifters to get scholarships.
That's a weird one, right? Because I've had a couple like that too. That I think that where some delusion comes into these kids is he likes it really a lot now because he's doing really good at it.
I know. Eventually,
right? Where the soccer he may not be doing, he's not acquiring, he's not dominating at the same, gaining as fast. Let's put it that way. The skills are not gaining as fast because he's probably been doing it since he was 4.
Yeah.
Or 5.
For sure. Select's crazy.
Yeah. So it becomes this really weird bias that's going on in their head where, a little adversity in a new sport, like, fuck it, I'm done.
Yeah.
Like,
I agree.
So it's a tough one. You don't want to, especially at that age, it's like being a multi-sport athlete. You don't want to do both.
Yeah.
And that the younger age, 15 to 25, they should just be worried about doing phases to get strong as fuck, other phases to get big as fuck.
Yep. Build
that base.
Yeah.
So if they really want to specialize, the peak's going to be like 25 to 35.
Yeah. Yeah.
Build that to go into that would be awesome.
Yeah, I agree. He hasn't really had that down yet, or the plateau, I should say. So I do hope he sticks with it. And that is true. You do see a lot of people come in and they think it's a real cool thing to powerlift. They'll do it a year or two, like, fuck.
The beginner gains.
Yeah, this is like, I'm not getting the gains, and this is fucking hard, so I'm going to try something else.
Yeah.
You got to stick with it for a fucking long time, man. Years.
What's another thing that pops out in your head of one of your past clients or clients now?
Well, we had one of our females, Kelly. This pops out. She was a 165er. She deadlifted 465. I thought that was pretty badass. And she was raw, just kind of getting into it. And she had to get a surgery. She does Muay Thai fighting as well. So she's kind of a multi-sport athlete. That's a pretty cool thing that had happened as of recent. So
as she was training for that, was there anything that she had to overcome?
No. She was healthy. She was doing, her training was going fucking pinpoint perfect. And
what's that mean? Pinpoint perfect.
All of her numbers she wasn't failing her numbers. She kind of peaked at the right time. But after the fact, I think her son got into Muay Thai, so they started doing it. And I don't know, I think she was kicking of some sort and broke something or tore something. So she's kind of coming back. So that's another thing.
And I assume both of these were on that linear plan that you lay out, or was that conjugate?
No, they were doing more of a conjugate method. They're more the power lifters of the group, so they were doing more of a conjugate method. But they're raw, so it's loose conjugate. I don't think it's what you guys would run at West Side or something like that.
Walk me through what a loose conjugate week would look like.
So I think they do like a max effort lower, max effort upper.
So what's that mean? Singles, triples?
Triples or lower.
Okay.
Yeah, and then they would do like your speed, either your banded bench or your chain bench, that 10 by 3, 8 by 2, 6 percentage ones.
How do you work percentages when they're at that level?
So there are, for me, I would say it's like a 50 to 60%, but if it's too slow, I just had this talk yesterday. One of our lifters, Sean, was doing a speed bench. And just from what works for me, I feel like 3 reps is under 3 seconds. It's fucking fast. If it's super slow, if it's 6 seconds or something, you're not speed. So we had to scale back, and I kind of showed him the time. And for me, it's how fast the bar moves. Same as squat and deadlift. We used to have a 10-0 unit. I should get rid of it, but I think that might be a better measure. For me, it's just seeing how fast the bar is moving. And for deadlift, I'd like it to be under a second.
Do you remember what the Tendo measurement was when you were?
No. So one of our lifters, Stephanie, won it at a Canadian powerlifting meet they did up in maybe Toronto. They won it as a best lifter.
Yeah.
Brought it back, and somebody wanted to buy it from her for like X amount of dollars. I was like, just sell it. That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of like kicking myself. I'm like, I fucking wish I would have. I think it could have been another good tool,
Well, if you can see, like, it's, I know what you're saying by you can see it.
Yeah.
I get it. I don't know if the listeners really get it.
No.
But that's some assumptions that I'm making is that the technique is solid. It's not like all over the place. They're not benching looking like a fish that's out of water.
Touch the same spot every time.
Touch same spot, solid, and it's moving at the same force or same rate. The first is moving the same as the third. It all looks good. I did a video maybe a year ago where I kind of showed if you don't, because the percentages get weird. Right? Because, 60% of 100 pounds is, 60. 60% of 1,000 to 6. There's a big there's a variance that plays in with the percentages where you've worked with enough young athletes. I used to tell a story of I had a soccer player I used to work with that just for shits, it's like I'm going to work her up, max her out on a box squat, something that I know with the depth, everything's the same, and I said max like 100, just say 100 pounds, like 105, something like that. And then I'm like, okay, I wonder what she can do with 80%. She's like fucking 20 or 30 reps. Then I'm thinking to myself, okay, now wait a minute. What's my 80%? I'm like, man, I don't know if I can do that for a fucking triple. 5 at the, that's when it's like, okay, these percents.
I know, you got to kind of take it for what it is.
But if you can see it.
See it.
Right? Then that's what I like about conjugate. It's like the max effort's kind of fucking easy. It moves really slow. And maybe they don't have a whole lot they can go up.
Right.
So what heavy is. The speed you can kind of see. The technique's got to be spot on. The first set should kind of look like the last. And what I did on this video is I started because of the bench, and I got a poverty bench. It's worse than a poverty bench. It's a poverty bench on government aid. I mean, it's just way poverty. And government aid be reverse bands. So I guess I could put reverse bands on. And I just started with like a dime per side. And you push that. Your back's falling. If you push it with max force, your shoulders are coming off of the bench. Your elbows are hyperextended. Probably too light. Then put another dime on each side, another dime. Just kept working up dimes. Then at a certain point, it's like, okay, this feels like something I can push against with force. I marked it with chalk. Then I put another dime on. That still feels good. Another dime on, still feels good. Another dime. Ooh, this doesn't feel. This feels heavy now. And I'm like, there's your 3-week wave.
Were you marking on the?
Yeah, just the plate.
I think I saw that.
Yeah. It's like, okay, here. So fuck all this. You don't forget the percentages. Forget all this. Everything under this chalk mark felt too light. Everything above that chalk mark, it felt too heavy. So here's your 3-week wave. Whatever's inside those 2 marks. And that's a way that people can figure it out that don't know what they're looking for. Where we can just eyeball it and say, oh, dude, first off, get your head out of your ass, right? That's the first thing. Then okay, it's fixed, good. Or, they get the head out of their ass, and then it's still like, dude.
Yes, I think speed day gets confused a lot. You got to really, if you're truly doing a speed day, it's got to fucking move. Or you're kind of in, is that called the strength speed, I guess, or just a fucking max effort lift, I guess. But it's funny you talk about the percentages. When I was studying for that CSCS, I'm looking at the percentage, what you should do, percentages, and I'm thinking my 1100 squat. I'm like, there's no fucking way I'm doing that for 2 or 3 reps. That'd be a fucking grind. So I kind of take the percentages for what they are. It's a guide.
It's a guide.
Yeah, I mean, it's a guide. It's definitely everyone doesn't stick with that. It's not one size fits all the time.
Yeah, it's a guide. It's also something I've had fun with younger lifters over the years, where they'll find that fucking chart, right? It's like, well, I did 5 with 185, so I should do.
Oh, dude.
Like, fuck yeah, let's load it. Load it on. Let's.
We did that in college. So our I forgot what year it was. We did. Hey, you could bench 300 for 5, so this is your max. I'm like, what? I felt like I could do. I was shitty at reps. I know what I could do for 1 compared to I said, there's no way I can do way more than that. Fuck this percentage. Fuck this. So I think certain people are better at the percentages for what it's supposed to equal out to. I was always what I should be able to do. I could do more for 1 than the perceived the reps or whatever. So.
Yeah. Did you ever go through personally just like bodybuilding and hypertrophy training?
No, I don't. I've always been hooked on strength, always, and B, I don't have. So I have lifted high reps, so yes, but I've never. I don't like. as far as like hypertrophy, I feel like it takes away from too much. I get too far away from my strength.
Yeah.
So I still do a little bit, you know, especially on those lighter days, like we talked about the GPP or whatever, a little pump.
Yeah.
But definitely never bodybuilding. I don't have. I've seen from knowing Mark, I don't have the. I probably. I don't know if I could. I wouldn't want to eat like that strict, that often. Fuck, not for me. No.
Yeah.
I enjoy eating a lot, and I have sweets here and there. I don't eat like shit, but I enjoy food. I'm not trying to like eliminate that. I see a lot of bodybuilders fish and rice, chicken and rice every fucking meal. I'm like, no way, no thanks. But no, I've never. I think at times after my meets, I'm always like, I'm going to do 4 weeks. I'm going to get ripped up. And then I do like a week. I'm like, no. I'm back to like low reps. No thanks. No, that's just not me. I'm not into it. Not for me.
What's been the biggest challenge that you've run into with your training center?
Probably COVID. So, you know, I didn't get any of the... I never wrote myself a check. So Tank's training facility is my thing. I'm my only person, but I'm not an employee, I guess. So I applied for a bunch of the, what do they call it, PPPs?
Yeah.
Because I never wrote myself a check, I didn't qualify, so I really didn't get any help. So, you know, I actually had some fucking turd, too, calling the county health board on me for having people in there, when really I really was not having it. One time they called like five times in 1 week or something. Go check, no one's there. So for money, you know, money was tight then. I'm going through all the health issues. Fortunately, I had a couple of people that had gyms in their house. I was just kind of going safely and training them there for some extra cash. But I think COVID was, during COVID and my health, that whole combination, it was just a fucking shit show. It was a weird time for a couple of years probably. But other than that, everything's been pretty smooth. Other than that, I haven't really had much trouble, you know.
Why I wonder with that though, if your tolerance has changed. I mean, because you're dealing with these two things, which are huge things.
Oh yeah.
Right. So now anything that comes up, you know, business wise, that might have been a big deal.
Yeah.
You know, 5 years ago is so insignificant to you right now.
I've really learned like, my patience is like way better. I don't get super pissed off about shit no more like I used to. I'm a little more relaxed, and yeah, that was pretty tough to deal with. But I don't think I can get thrown much more at me that'll really affect anything. So
Yeah.
business has been okay, no problems.
Why do you think you're more relaxed? Is it because of those?
I just think because, you know, not really meditating, but just in those 5, 6, 7 years, just going through all that shit and just kind of, there's nothing you could do. If you have a shitty attitude, it's just going to make stuff shittier. So just kind of learn how to deal with adversity and kind of get through it on a positive note, not a negative note, has really helped me.
Yeah.
So I think that, I mean, it was a weird time, but you know, everything now is up and up. But I think I really learned how to deal with stuff a little bit better than I used to. So.
Well, and in hindsight, a negative attitude doesn't really help solve anything.
No. And my wife, you know, there were times, I'm not gonna lie, that I was, in the past few years, I've been pretty fucking fired up about a few things. And she's like, hey, just calm down. It's not a big deal. And she's my better half for sure. I'm thankful for her to
I think that's human, right?
Yeah.
God, I still go through, I wake up some days, I don't want to do any fucking, you know, I just wake up pissed off.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know why.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't have, like, a bad dream.
Yeah.
You just wake up, and it's like, fuck this shit, right? Like, where'd this come from?
Yep.
Then you have that talk with yourself, trying to figure out, like, why am I so fucking mad?
Yeah.
You know? I guess over the years, you just learn to actually have that talk with yourself. I guess when I'm younger, I'm like, fuck it. I guess this is just one of those days.
Yeah. You know what's helped for me? It's kind of weird. Is my buddy was at University of Illinois for a while, and JL came up there, and I took that. It was just the coaches and me, that RPR class.
Yeah.
And I'm tell people that that belly breathing. I get up every day, and my wife's like, "You okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm just breathing." I just sit there and breathe. And if I get stressed, I do that belly breath for fucking as long as I can sit there, and it really helps me relax, man. It's pretty. I'm a big believer in that.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that really helps. I don't do all the other stuff. That hurts. That sternum rub, with all my shit going on there. But that belly breath, I really took that away. That really, really helps. And I tell my kids, hey, if you're stressed out in class, do that. I'm telling you, it helps. Do it.
The sternum rub hurts even without all that shit that you got there.
JL's fucking fat fingers, man. At U of I was on blood thinners, and he's doing this. I'm like, fuck. And I'm telling you, you know, you bruise. I was fucking bruised everywhere. My back. I mean, I was like, dude, you destroyed me. It was for like a week because of blood thinner. I was like, bro, I guess I felt better, but I look like a fucking.
No, I have this funny as hell because I have the same story for the same reason. Because I was on blood thinners and I was one of the first people he worked on. It hurt like, dude. And I'm doing everything in my power to not let him know how bad this hurts.
Yeah.
There's fucking tears coming down my eyes, right? Yeah. And you can't. I'm trying to like, dude, look away so I can like wipe this real quick.
Yeah.
That fucking hurt. You know what I'm talking about? It hurt.
Yeah.
So bad.
Yeah.
And then literally the next day, I'm like, what the?
Dude.
Like, what the fuck? It's just.
It's terrible.
Bruised. My ribs, my adductors.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then, okay, we probably have, then because the adductors bruised so bad, it went down into my shin.
Oh,
like when you're
down.
Oh, yeah. Then we wake up in the morning to take a piss, or wake up in the middle of the night to take a piss. All that runs into there. It hurts. Like
my psoas when he did both of that.
Yeah.
I mean, I was like, fuck. I guess I was really tight there, so he dug, but I probably need to do that too more.
Well, he found out later you don't have to go that hard.
That dude he's got those sausage fingers.
Yeah.
Man. Fuck.
Yes.
I'll have to get him back one of these days.
The going back to this is weird. The athletes that you've had, without naming names, have you had people come in that have had? You can tell that the talent potential is huge, but then it didn't follow through.
Oh, so you're saying like if they have it?
The athlete comes in and you see that they have it.
Yeah.
Right, and it doesn't come through.
Yeah. I had a gentleman that was going to do the combine, and I saw the numbers that year, what the numbers were. He was a receiver, and I'm friends with him. I'm not going to say his name, but he was a fucking stud. Trained his ass off. I had him a agent set up, and they decided last minute not to do it. It was actually a pro day he was going to do, because he didn't get invited to the combine. He was at a smaller college, and I saw that potential. I was like, dude, you could fucking do it, man. Go. Like, his numbers there, I think at that year there was a receiver from Notre Dame that had it. His numbers were there or better on everything. Like, you get one chance at this, man, do it now. So yeah, I have seen that. I've also seen opposite, people that didn't have it but worked their asses off to the weight room and stuff and got better and improved in their sport. Maybe not like a professional level, but enough to get to like a collegiate level at some levels.
Have you seen anything consistent with the people that had it but weren't able to follow through? Habits that they shared that they shouldn't have had.
So I guess this isn't really the high-end athletes, but the habits I see that people have it at something, whether it's powerlifting or sports, bad habits like relying solely on fucking caffeine, not sleeping enough, not taking care of the body, not recovering, stuff like that. Yes, I see that constantly, and it drives the shit out of me because I constantly preach, do your mobility, stretch after, eat right, fucking sleep. I think sleep for me saved my life. I couldn't sleep for probably, I don't know, it was about a week. I stayed up the whole night. I couldn't breathe, so I had to buy one of those masks. I didn't even do the sleep study, and the first night I wore that, man, I slept. I still wear it all the time. I don't even think I have to anymore, but I sleep so well with it on, and I feel fucking great when I wake up.
So the CPAP was the biggest game changer for your sleep?
Game changer, man. I'm telling you, a lot of it was heart-related, heart failure. But once I got that, even though I was in heart failure, when I put that on, I slept like, it was insane. I had to ask my wife, it was like fucking 10 hours or something. I usually sleep about 7 or 8 every night, no matter what, and it helps a shit ton. And I think for me, that's the best thing anyone can do is sleep.
So when you were in heart failure, like they didn't recommend that you have a CPAP?
No. I asked the doctor, and I think they called on there and said, yeah, you should probably get one. So I didn't even do a sleep study. I did one after the fact. After I said I can't fucking breathe at night. I need something. So it took a few days. I guess thinking back, I'm like, what the fuck? They probably should have. But I got it, and I slept fucking great the day of. And I think it was like $1,200. But I was tired of not sleeping. I felt horrible. Mm-hmm. And then I did a sleep study, and I think I was there for like, I don't know, half hour, 45. Hey, you're good. You don't have to stay. We know you're good. And then I got a second one under my insurance. I actually have 2 right now. I got one downstairs and one up. Mm-hmm. So pretty awesome, man. It's a game changer.
What was one of the hardest practices or training sessions that you've ever had that completely unnecessary, by the way, but just over the top?
Practices. So again, I was telling you about our wrestling coach, bar none. It was pretty much every day. I remember going, and I'm not saying Division I college football is not tough. It's tough. But I remember going to the summer. So I went right from graduating. I went up that summer after my freshman year, trained with the team. And I remember dudes struggling. And I was like, fuck, this ain't that bad. So I'd say wrestling in general, every fucking day was terrible. It was tough. Powerlifting.
Well, what's an example of tough?
Run you into the dirt. I mean, fucking till you cry, then do 100 burpees until you fucking cry, and then run the stairs for a half hour until you cry, and then climb ropes till you cry, and then come and fucking wrestle more until you cry for 2 hours. Mm-hmm. I'm not exaggerating. You'd get arrested. Well, not arrested. You'd get in trouble. We got 0, and it's not a smart, but we got 0 water breaks, not one. Mm-hmm. And one time a year, this is not made up, at Christmas Eve or Christmas Day, I don't remember, he was fucking, go get a water, Merry Christmas. A fucking sip. I swear to God. It was insane. And now come on, you should have water. Like, you gotta fucking, these guys are cutting weight. I had to cut maybe one time, but everyone else is malnourished, cutting 15, 20 pounds. Like, luckily no one got hurt. Mm-hmm. College, I think the hardest practice, do you remember the 300 shuttle? You run like 50 up and back, 300 yards.
Yeah.
So I fucking smoked back and forth, done. And I was like, fuck that. And they're like, oh, you got one more. I'm like, what? Then they got like a minute break. And that was the 300 shuttles, probably unnecessary. When is a lineman running 50 yards back and forth? But again, it's just, I think it's more of a coach just to make sure you're staying in shape, whatever the fuck that is. But that was, every year we had to do it. That was horrible. Powerlifting, probably my squat sessions were the hardest because you're there for an hour and a half, 2 hours, putting on shit, having people wrap you, fucking building up a plate up to 1,100 pounds, doing a drop set. Those were the hardest because they were the longest, I think. They were just, you just felt beat up after that day, and you're there for 2 hours or whatever. You get home, it's like fucking 9 or 10 at night. I didn't have a monolift at start, so I had to drive down to Putt Houston's in O'Fallon, Missouri. Putt's a friend of mine. It's a fucking 45 to an hour drive. Yeah. Doing that once a week. That was probably the hardest, I guess, just the drive back and forth. You're talking 4 or 5 hours when everything's said and done. You guys do it every day, so. But I never had any like you said, hypertrophy sessions with like the GOAT John. Like nothing like that. But the squat days were challenging just because they were so long.
Your shuttle story, because we used to have to do that in wrestling, which is kind of weird. But it was a basketball court, so it's not the same distance. Where that reminded me of we used to have to do 40-40s. In football, right? And it's like after 10, that's quarter one. After so, and there one time that sucked just to begin with. Dude. But after a while, you realize just pace yourself. Yeah. One time, the coach was so pissed because everybody's dogging this shit that we did it twice.
Oh my God.
Right, and so then it became like there's the 40-40s. That's fourth quarter. Well, now first overtime. And then it's like, oh my God, it was fucking people puking, dying. It's completely unnecessary.
Yeah, that's insane.
But that's probably thinking back just on stupid shit coaches had me do. that's well up there, because it just sucked to be. No part of this is fun.
No, a lot of it, they want to build mental toughness or something, is the old phrase. I'm like, you could do it a better way than this.
Well, exactly.
Probably didn't know back in the day, though, you know, that the knowledge wasn't there, or at least in my area, it wasn't there. So,
well, going through the training, and including stuff like that, and the powerlifting, and now that you're basically at a position to where all along you've only been really training for yourself, but you're really seriously now only training for your health. There's no big shiny thing that you're training towards except being stronger.
Yeah.
What are 3 movements you'll never do again? Because now you don't have to.
So probably any Olympic lift.
Yeah.
I used to do that a lot. And I'd always wonder, me and my training partner, Carl, we'd always do power cleans or hang cleans in the proper order before you're supposed to squat. And we're trying to power lift, and we're like, why the fuck is our squat never going anywhere? We're fucking doing a shit ton of cleans before, so I'll probably never do Olympic lifts again. Trying to think of anything else. I really don't enjoy doing the prowlers. I do them on my GPP, but I can't say I'll never not do that again. Other than that, I don't, probably, like you were saying, not that I ever did it much, but I probably won't do a shit ton of hypertrophy, you know.
Yeah.
I kind of, like we talked about earlier, I kind of want to reserve that blood pressure going up too high.
Yeah.
Just kind of reserve. So definitely never no Olympic lift. So 3, I'll never do the snatch clean or power clean or snatch. Probably again, those 3. So
my 3 would be fuck the deadlift. I didn't like the deadlift when I did the deadlift.
I'm slowly.
I just hate it. I hate. People are like, why do you hate the deadlift? Because I don't like it.
I used to fucking hate it a lot, but I'm kind of. And I'm with you. That was my least favorite.
Yeah.
I was fucking terrible at it. Around my back.
Yeah.
I had a decent deadlift, but I'm kind of relearning, and I'm starting to kind of see some growth there. What I'm not seeing the quickest growth is squat. Like, my back was so bony that weight and bar fucking hurt on my back. So that holding that bar is really slow. You know, I'm only a little over 500 right now, so that's going slower my squat than my deadlift. So have you? I'll talk.
No, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to talk about a certain bar to use. I'll talk to you after.
Yeah, so they may want to know.
So I'm seeing all these guys, these huge deadlifters using that Kabuki deadlift bar. And do you notice a difference from these big lifters?
I don't pull enough to know, but I've been around people that pull enough to know that they're. Yes, you can get more out of it, but you need to know how to use it.
Yeah.
Right? Say with a Texas deadlift bar, you have to pull the slack out compared to a straight bar.
That's what we have.
Right? There's just a little bit more slack that you can pull out, which allows you to wedge under. You got to be more patient. The other thing is you got to be real careful, you know, towards the top, because it can whip you out of position too.
Yeah.
Right? So it's one of those things where, can you pull more? Yes, but there's skill that's acquired to be able to do that, which isn't as easy as people think it is.
Yeah, you're not just going to pop 100 more pounds on your deadlift just using the phone.
But some people would think that you would, and it's not.
It's like gear. You're not just going to fucking squat 1,000.
Yeah.
You got to learn it. Okay.
Yeah, so that's kind of what I've seen with that. Getting back to my deadlift, it's funny because people would get mad, you know, when I say that I don't like the deadlift, and it cracks me up, because it's like, if they don't like cheese, like, am I supposed to be mad because you don't like cheese? Like Velveeta, you don't like Velveeta? Like, what do you mean? It's so stupid. Yeah, reverse hypers would go up there with me too. I did so many of those. I just never want to do one again the rest of my fucking life.
That was a mainstay at West Side. I can't, so I've tried that.
Well, you did them when you were bigger though, right?
I did more reverse hypers and more glute ham raises, especially against me, than I did deadlift. And my deadlift I was 850. I was on the road to do 9 for sure. I know my training where I was, and I probably pulled heavy per cycle, say 12 weeks, once or twice. But I did a lot of fucking speed, banded from the ground, and I did a shit ton of reverse hypers and a shit ton of glute hams, a shit ton. I did way more than deadlifts, and those two helped me bar none the most.
Define a shit ton.
Every week.
So every week, multiple times per week?
I would do reverse hypers. I'd always flip it. So if I squatted, I'd do hypers. If I dead, I'd do glutes. I'd do glute ham raises. I'd do those every fucking week, and heavy every week. And I like you, I didn't enjoy deadlifting. My form, I never deadlifted. I literally, the first meet, putt, and those guys are trying to show me sumo. I'm like, what the fuck is this? So, no, I did more reverse hypers, more every week. Heavy. And again, the band tension around the neck holding, I would do a shit ton. I mean,
With reverse hypers, and you say heavy, are you talking over 400 pounds?
400 or more.
Yeah.
I don't think I'd ever, like, isn't there, I would never, what was it, like half of your deadlift or something like that? So, yeah, I'd go over, 400 or more. 100 of plates for sure.
Okay.
At least. Now, it was controlled chaos. I wouldn't just fucking swing. I'd control it up. I'd let it pull me through still, but I controlled it. I didn't pause it or nothing. From what I remember reading and seeing, you do want to get up and let it pull you through. And, but it was controlled chaos. So.
Okay. And how many sets?
I mean, it was probably either 5x5, 5x3, something like that. It was never more than 5 reps. I never trained it for.
Now, wait, with the 5 reps, it takes 2 or 3 to get it going.
Oh, yeah.
So you don't count those?
No, even now, that's a good point.
Yeah.
So we never count. The first couple are like this.
Yeah.
And then you get it up and then you count it. Right?
Got it.
Yeah. So, and we had we actually bought, I think his name was Mattingly. He designed all Louis' stuff. It's from our area. So we have one of the OG hypers, glute hams, and we had one of the, Randy went out and bought one of Louis' original, he was throwing it out, one of his monoliths. We have it at the gym from years ago. He came out and bought it from him. But yeah, real heavy, low reps, nothing above 5s. I mean, back in the day, I'd consider anything over 5 like fucking cardio.
Yeah. Well, especially on that because you can't breathe.
No, and that's what I was saying. A couple weeks I tried to do it. I couldn't. The pressure, it's still, the whole thing was numb for quite a while, and it's getting less and less, but it still feels kind of weird. It doesn't really hurt. It just feels weird, and there's pressure there, you know. So I'm going to slowly get back into it. I'm just not ready yet. Still a little, the nerves, obviously, are still a little messed up. If they'll ever get better, who knows?
What's something that you're most excited about for the rest of the year? Something that you're looking forward to?
I'm going to, my wife's not going to like to hear this, but I'm going to test myself my 2nd year anniversary. That's August 22nd. Like on that day, whatever it falls on, I'm going to do a mock meet. All the lifts and see where I'm at. I'm gonna have fucking spots, and I might even wrap my knees. So
when you say all the lifts, are you putting the overhead in there too?
No,
like with your clients, or just the power lift? So yeah,
squat, bench, dead. That's it. In that order, I'll do like that. I'll get a group of guys. It'll be a cool little day. Probably take a couple hours, I think. I'm doing everything raw right now. I don't even have briefs. They went missing. I'll have to get some knee sleeves while I'm out here. I'd like to start messing with the knee sleeves. I've never worn them, but I still have some knee wraps. So belt and wraps, just raw as you get. Not naked knee or whatever they call it. But so
I know we're only a little bit into this year, but is there any what skill have you learned so far this year? What's something that you've learned going into this year that you didn't know beforehand?
Something I've learned this year that I didn't know beforehand. Oh, I'm trying to think here.
It could be training, business, life, any.
I think, again, patience still. I mean, that's been for the last few years. I think patience is what I've been learning for the last few years. And this year, I don't know. That's a good question. Not really much. Nothing's really changed. I'm such a scheduled person. Everything's kind of been the same,
So I'll go a different direction then and say, what's the most surprising thing that's happened so far this year?
Surprising thing. Let me think. Drawing a blank. I think the most surprising thing for me is more our life, I guess. It's taken a little turn. We lived in my hometown where I was born, and we kind of moved just for the better of our children, for the opportunity for their sports career. So that's not really surprising. My health has been great. I did worry a lot, coming out of it, how I would be kind of week to week, month to month, and I guess that's surprising. Everything's been really good, and I never knew if I'd be able to kind of be back where I am now, and I'm slowly getting back to where I want to be. So that's kind of, I guess, surprising.
How do you balance? Because I kind of know the mindset a little bit. How do you balance the gratitude of being able to do what you do now, but yet still wanting to push to be able to do more? You see, like we were talking earlier, it's frustrating to look and say, God, this sucks compared to what I used to do.
Yeah, I think for me, you know, from where I started at a year and a half ago, I mean, I couldn't walk, man, you know, like even lift my leg up. So the progression of what I've been doing, you know, week to week, month to month, just to hold that weight, feel that weight, that's pretty awesome thing, to say the least. So I think just the progression every week I've been doing in a month, it's been pretty great.
Over the past handful of years, you've had a lot of downtime, and when I'm hip replay, when I have downtime for whatever issues that I've had to deal with, you know, you fill it with Netflix and stupid shit like that, right? So what are some of the, God, this is bad because I can't even, I'm asking a question I'm not even sure I can answer. What are some of the series that you've locked into that you liked?
Shows?
Yes. Because you got a lot of time, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean,
I filled, so before, we got into some great shows. Before I got, I studied a lot in the hospital. I studied a lot to get that NSCA, that CSCS.
Yeah.
So that was a lot of my time. After I got that, you know, our shows, I'll be like Ozark. We watched that. Surprisingly, I love Sopranos as football. We used to sit and watch that every Sunday on HBO. Believe it or not, my wife got into it. So we watched that 2 times through. Every night would have she'd have a wine, or we'd have a wine, some water, sit around, and we'd watch Sopranos. See other shows. We like Power, the Power series.
no, that's a good one. Watch that, yeah.
Powers is great, man. We're watching
There's like
Ghost.
three different ones, right?
Yeah, the one we're watching now is Ghost.
And there's Ghost 2, then there's another one where the one guy went off.
Tommy. Yeah, that's dope. We like that. Ozark's really cool, man, because it's kind of close to us. The Ozarks, I don't know if it was all filmed there, but a lot of stuff they talk about, it's like 2 hours from our house.
Really?
Yeah, so we go there on vacation a lot. And I think there's a bar in the Ozark called Marty Bird, the guy.
Oh, really?
Jason Bateman.
Yeah.
I just heard this. I'm like, pretty cool, man. Someone's making some money off that. But yeah, I filled a lot of my time. Every minute I had, I wanted to get that CSCS. So if I ever decide and have the opportunity at the next level to coach, I have what I need. So.
Did you get to a point where you had to, because I did, you get to a point where you started looking for shows based upon the number of seasons? Like if it's one season, you're like, fuck it, I'm not wasting my time. There has to be at least 4.
Yeah, and Ozark, I think Ozark, Sopranos is it. So Sopranos are like 6 or 7, you know? Yeah, we, there was another one we were watching. What the hell was that called? It's kind of weird. It's from M. Night Shyamalan or whatever, that made like kind of weird thrillers. It's called Servant. It's on.
Oh no, I know what you're talking about. Apple TV.
It's kind of frustrating.
It's a fucking weird one, man.
It's weird, and it's like frustrating because you're like waiting for it to get good, and it kind of gets good, then it kind of sucks. And and we watched the whole thing. We're kind of like, ugh. That director's kind of frustrating, man. It's kind of like.
Yeah, I think I watched. Maybe it took me 2 years to watch the one season. Yeah. Then I'm like,
It's not for me and my wife. It's kind of like.
I think it's because you have to pay attention too much.
Yeah. It's not. It wasn't that good. I don't know. We watched it, and almost every week, we're kind of like, fuck, what?
Yeah.
And we're just kind of, I wouldn't recommend that one. I like Ozark, Sopranos are kind of go-to.
Yeah. Something that I've learned through that crap is, when I'm stuck at home, like the second hip, I was stuck at home way longer than what I should have been. You still got to get, as we talked earlier, you still got to get your work done, but a lot of it evolves around that, where since probably that time, probably after the ablations and all that, then I get back into this routine, to where it's just like when you're studying for the CSCS or work, and you may be this way now with work and everything else. It's so scheduled and so on target, and there's not really a whole lot of time for other shit. It's just fucking go. And I had that schedule going, and then we pre-recorded a lot of the podcast, so it ended up having. It wasn't that long ago, there was a few weeks to where 20, 25 hours of what I would normally be doing during the week, I had this gap, this void. Then I got sucked in, you know, to those rabbit holes, the shows and all that other kind of stuff. And then I started waking up pissed off again. I really did. I mean, it's like, what the fuck? Like, why do I fucking hate everybody again? Like, there's so long I really didn't. Then it kind of hit me like, oh, I see. I had too much idle time.
Yeah.
And instead of filling the idle time with productive shit, like there's a certain amount of what we're talking about that's necessary. It's relaxing, chilling with your wife, you know, it's a family time type stuff. But there's also a point where it becomes too much. Yeah. And then for me, it fucks with your head. It fucks with your outlook. You know, and that could be, I think some people, it could be social media, it could be, you know, TikTok, it could be YouTube or whatever it is. Yep.
I had a lot of, I still do, I have a lot of downtime, so I can work at like 5:30, 10:30, 11, I'm done. Then from that 11 to like 3, it's downtime. So for me, the last year and a half, I've just been trying to rest and recover. I've been trying to take naps best I can. It's hard. You know, I talked about I do that cold brew, so the caffeine's still there and the prednisone, but I try my best just to take a nap, just to recover more and rest. And then I go back to it, and then I'm a little wound up again. But for me, that downtime, I've been trying, in between the day, I've just been trying to rest and recover, and that's helped me a lot. And I'm slowly getting away from not needing the rest as much, you know, to recover. But yeah, that time is, I don't know. I actually deleted my TikTok. I know I talked to you a while ago. I was on the fucker, and then I look at the clock. I'm like, 30 minutes, what? So I kind of got away from that. Teach their own if you're on it. Just for me, it just was a waste of 30 minutes when I could be doing something else, you know. So yeah, for me, that little downtime really helped. And I'll just close my eyes and sleep. You know, it drives some people, like my wife and people, crazy because I have time to relax. But it helps a shit ton for me personally. But then I do got to go back to work till 7 at night every night, which kind of fucking sucks.
Sure.
But I love what I do. But, you know, it's a long day, 5 till 7, and then get back and do it. And I was working 7 days a week, and even if it was just an hour or two on Sunday, still going in, it's good just to stay away a little bit, you know, and kind of spend time with the family and get out of that scenery a little bit, you know.
To kind of recap a lot of the things that we talked about, you know, playing football at a Division I level and then post, right? And then powerlifting at the highest level, being in business for over a decade. You've been married for close to a decade, you know, 12 years with the same person. We're all individuals, like we're all human, right? What makes you different than others that you think has allowed you to be able to have the success in all these areas?
Yeah, I really always go back to my mother and father really supporting me in everything I did. That was huge. And then the sports I played early on in life, building me in that mental toughness. I mean, you talk about quitting in life. I wanted to quit every single day in my sport of wrestling when I did. I wrestled for 6 years. Just because it was so tough. And I did well in wrestling. I was okay. It just, that mental toughness of beating you up, getting up, beating up, just constant, nonstop, wanting to quit, not quitting, wanting to quit, not quitting. I think that toughness and learning how kind of adversity and fighting through it, teamwork, stuff like that, I think has really helped me personally a lot. I don't think I'd be here today if not. I mean, I think a lot of people would have checked out, you know, from the shit I went through, you know.
I think it doesn't just help you, it helps the people that follow you, it helps your athletes as well.
Dude, of course. I've been told by many people, and I don't think it's just lip service. I think they said that the story I have and what I'm doing is kind of motivational to them. So that's pretty cool to think about, that I could motivate someone else, you know, to work a little harder, do a little better, you know.
What's those factors when say the athletes come in, can you see where those are down?
Yeah, I you know,
because they may not have the upbringing that you've had, right? They may not have the wrestling coach that was pushing them to a point that they realize what don't quit really means.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of nowadays there's so many restrictions, so the coaches back then when I was in, if they did that today, they would be fired or lawsuits. So I don't think coaches can push as much. And I think if they do, a lot of kids would quit because they're not trying to fucking work like, not all, but most are trying to work like that, you know. But yeah, I think too a big problem is the, you hear it all the time, I think too much social media, too much on the phone, too much. I think that's affecting a lot of the athletes too, you know. Some positive, you know, learning, but I think more negative than positive, you know. I think in the powerlifting world especially, you're seeing these, like Griggs you're talking about, fucking monsters. Not everyone's that Dan Griggs. There's this guy. There's very few of those, and I feel like the problems I have a little bit with the athletes and the powerlifters at home, they're always trying to max out. I'm like, you gotta fucking do this slow and do it with a method. You know, you just don't want to come in and fucking max out every day. So I think that's another issue I'm dealing with as well. I think everyone's kind of dealing with that from what I'm hearing.
Do you think, because I was raised with a no-quit mentality.
Yeah.
I mean, I carried the little poem around in my wallet for up until like 4 years ago because it fell apart, you know, so it's, and sometimes I wonder if that was to my demise in some areas, you know, to where at a certain point, you know, quitting is such an evil word, but just for me to say it, right?
I know.
But there's always a times to move on, you know, from what you're doing. Do you feel the same way?
I think the no quit is embedded in me too, and it's going to be next to impossible for me to quit. I'm on a mission now to get better than I was before. Yeah. And I don't think I'm going to stop until I get there, and I just got to do it smart, you know, and not get hurt and not get injured. And I think I could do it. I got the mindset for it. It's just keeping the body healthy.
Well, it extends further than that, right? It can be your marriage, right? You know, to where it's like, look, this is a no-quit situation. It's, of
course.
You know, this is the way it is. No matter how hard it gets, we're going to get through whatever it is. So to there, I would say it's a benefit. Yeah. Right, to where, you know, somebody hanging on to powerlifting longer than what they should, and we all know people that are like that. That's probably not.
Me and my wife we were married, I think 3 years before all this heart stuff, and not everyone, but let's say some women would check out, like, hey, I'm not dealing with all this hard shit. I'm out. You know, do it on your own. She stuck with me all the way. So that no quit, I think, is definitely in the family's kind of genes, you know, genetics.
So is there times where you have to check yourself? Like, am I still doing these things just because I don't want to think that I quit? Or, you know, is it necessary, I suppose?
I don't know. I'm goal oriented, I guess. And I think the no quit is just in my blood. I don't know. I don't think I've ever checked myself. I think I just think
you're answering my question. Though you're just as fucked up as I am.
I think I'm on a mission, man. I'm not. I had such a few-year. I had a 5-year deload, let's say that. So I'm like, here, I'm ready to fucking get back at it.
It was worse than a deload, though, right? I mean, if there's...
I've heard deloads are pretty shitty, though, so...
come on, like fucking 5 years waiting for a heart transplant?
Yeah, I know. I'm joking. I'm
I'll take the fucking 2-week deload, you know, any day.
Yeah, I'm ready to pound it and get back at it, man. So, you know, I think there's that no quit in me for sure, and that was embedded at a young age. And I think a lot of it was my father was a very blue collar work. I mean, he owned his own business. He was a butcher at the time, and he ground. I remember smelling cigarettes and coffee at like 4 in the morning. I'm like, what the fuck is this smell, you know? And him down there pretty much hocking up along, going to work. I'm like, why the fuck are you up at 4:30? Go back to bed. Yeah. And then I kind of get it now. You know, the cigarettes, he quit. I don't get the cigarettes no more, but he was up, man, and that kind of, he wasn't a lazy dad. He didn't lay on the couch and fucking watch TV all day and fucking eat chips. He worked, you know. So I think that was kind of embedded from day one. That's what I'm trying to push on to my kids and all the athletes and stuff, to work hard, you know, bust your ass. You only got one chance at it, man. If you fucking fuck up, it's done, you know. Yeah.
How are you doing it differently with your kids than what your coaches or your dad would have done to you?
Smarter. Well, my dad,
what do you mean smarter?
So my dad never lifted. He wasn't a lifter. So he did stuff differently. So I'm doing the stuff some good and some bad. I'm trying to do it my way to my kids. And again, my father didn't lift. So I'm trying to show my children that through what I know, the knowledge I know, training them smart. Like I said, my dad dropped me off, which was awesome. He didn't know how to help me. That wasn't his forte. So with my kids, I'm helping them through in this world, how to kind of thrive through that and how this correlates to the sport, of their sports, I should say.
Or life as well.
Yeah, life as well, yes. That's the same.
Were there any topics that you thought I was going to bring up that I didn't bring up?
I don't know. We talked about so much. Not really. Not that I could think of. I could look at my phone, but I don't know. I think we covered almost. Not that I could think of.
Are there any questions that people ask you either through DM or just around and about the transplant or about your comeback that are very regular questions that this can be like, just here, go watch the end of this podcast and here's the answer?
I think I understand a lot of people say, hey, I never had a heart attack. I took a picture of the Elite FTS shirt going in the hospital, walking in, walking out. I never had a heart attack. It had nothing to do with steroids, PEDs, anything. It was strictly a hereditary issue and a bad choice from a doctor. Led to 1 to 2 to 3 to transplant. So those are the most common questions are that. Well,
to stay on that one, I think it's important that if somebody's going in for a checkup or something like that, to vet who their doctor is, even if it's an orthopedic.
Dude, you can't ever go back, but I never got a second opinion.
Yeah.
And I could have, like I told you, I could have held off on that aortic valve regurg, and I think it was not even a year later, they could have gone to the groin. They never had to cut me open, and who knows? But I will never know.
Well, I'll use the example of something less catastrophic, but it's still catastrophic. Say somebody tears a pec off or blows a quad off. Normally they end up in the ER, then they end up with whatever orthopedic just happens to be on call. Where my point is, maybe you want to vet the orthopedics before some shit happens.
Yeah.
So then when it happens, you can say, you know what, no, I want Dr. So-and-so.
100%.
Right? So
study.
Exactly. Yeah. Where the odds that we're all going to have heart issues at some point are pretty fucking high. It's one of the top 3, right? Or so maybe you want to vet out who the better cardiologists are.
I wish I would have.
Yeah, this is all in hindsight, right? I mean, the same thing, because at best, people will start to have the issues, and then they'll ask their general practitioner for a referral.
Yeah.
Well, how do you know that's even good?
So most of the time, they're always going to say, oh, they're the best, they're the best. Talk to a few people, and if they keep saying that person's the best, then check it out. But I definitely would get a second and third opinions and talk around. It might not be in your own city. Talk around and, if I'm from St. Louis, check Chicago, check Indy, check other areas. I don't know, definitely do. And I think a huge thing is too, I always felt like I was kind of a robot, indestructible.
Yeah.
I never had it, like I said, I never had stitches, broken bone, nothing. But I also never, ever checked my blood pressure over, 4 or 5 years of powerlifting. Once my football was done, I didn't really see a doctor. I didn't need to. I never really got sick. So I feel like if you check your blood pressure, that's one thing I recommend to everyone. Have your blood, check your own. Go to Walgreens. Check it once a week. What's the big fucking deal? But I think that's something that, I'm sure my blood pressure was pretty high at the time, just from squatting heavy as fuck one day, benching heavy the next, deadlifting, like you said, that Valsalva maneuvers at 3 times higher, up to 3 times, and it's guarantee that, and then who knows, that might have helped. Who knows? I think that's another important point too. It's a simple thing to do.
Well, what we're talking about right here, it's not going to hurt.
No.
There's no negative to vetting out, who the best cancer, the best, I think the worst time to vet that out is when there's a diagnosis, because now you're trying to mentally cope with what it is, the stress of it, and then the unknown, and you're in this weird fucking position that nobody wants to vet this stuff out. You know, it's like, I get it. Like, nobody wants to do it. But shit, for me, after like 1 or 2 surgeries due to tears and stuff like that, it's like, maybe I ought to figure out, like, who the knee guy is, who the hip guy is, like, who these people are.
It's funny you say that. I found out shoulders, knees in my area who the best.
Yeah.
And we had to utilize it. My son hurt his knee, and I knew, boom, exactly who to take him to. And he's fucking great right now.
Yeah.
Which is awesome. But yeah, that's important for sure. No question.
Any other questions with, say, the heart issues? Are there any questions that come to you frequently about that?
You know, I don't know if you remember when I just had the open heart surgeries, I had that, the valve, they put an artificial valve and it was clicking. So a lot of people would, I remember being in an elevator, I forgot where I was, but it was loud. It was like click, click. I mean, you could hear it. So I'd have to tell you, not a bomb.
Oh, wow.
It's my heart. So literally, if you got about this, you'd hear it here.
Yeah.
And it drove me fucking nuts. You'd hear it a bunch. Kind of on the same subject, the gentleman, it was like the first or second guy that got that, couldn't handle it, and he fucking killed himself.
Really?
Yeah, for real. He couldn't handle the, and I understood. I was like, dude, have you floated before? You know what floating is?
Yeah.
So I got a gift card to float from one of my clients, and I laid there, and all I heard was that click. I'm like, fuck, and I like 10 minutes, like, I can't do it. I get out, shower, left. It was very rough. But no. I mean, a lot of people just check up on me, how you doing, how you feeling, and no real specific questions that I could think of.
Did that clicking ever get to a point to where you just became used to it?
I mean, you know, when you're asleep, you don't hear it, and you did get used to it eventually. I know one time, being loud, my big ass pacemaker, I'm in church, and literally it's fucking ringing off, and I'm looking around like, who the fuck's got their phone on? And it was my pacemaker going off, and I'm like, oh fuck, and I felt fine, and it shut off after X amount of seconds, and I called, I said, hey, look, am I fucking dying? Did it go off? They go, Chris, if it's about to go off, you would know it. It feels like a horse kicking you in the chest or something. Like, well, I definitely didn't go off then, but it was a misfire, so they'd go back and reset it. But scared me once I realized it was my thing going off.
Did it ever go off for you?
Never went off. I really played it smart in those few years I had to wait. But it was, I mean, it's, I don't know, think about it big. It was about as big as this. Protruding. I still got the scar. It's a cool scar, but I feel there and it's not there no more. It's a pretty cool knot.
And then when it goes off, it's like a cardio version, right?
Yeah, when it goes off, it's supposed to shock you back to life. But I never got there. I was very fortunate in those years. Never had to feel that, thank God, because I heard it's bad. So.
Well, I want to thank you for coming out.
Yeah, thanks.
It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, it was good. I got here right away and caught a lift. It's fucking awesome.
No, that's great. And for you guys that are listening, we're done.
Yep. All right. Thanks, Dave.
Yeah.